Good evening, players. This is Bunzi. Welcome to the Character Creations YouTube. Tonight we'll be opening a box and a half of Modern Horizons 2 draft boosters. But for starters, we have a little goodie in a pack of Modern Masters 2017 edition. All the cards open tonight will be on sale on charactercreationsrpg.com, which will be linked in the description of this stream. Tonight we have Chris on tech support, and he will be there to answer any questions that may come up. Also, if you see anything you like, let him know, and he'll contact you about it to get a sale going. So, let's get into it. First of all, we have the Modern Masters 2 2017 edition. This is honestly one of my favorite reprints sets, I guess. Didn't really come with anything super unique or new, but definitely had some really cool reprints. So let's crack it open. Like to go from the bottom. Always good. Always good. Or split. Go for that instead. He says fighting his way into the pack.
You should be able to do better than this.
I should be. So we have, let's get this into screen to focus. Have a Simic Guildgate. Always love the gates. I think they are a fantastic addition for this set. It's a shame there was no Mazes End, though, but we don't mind. We have a Penumbra Spider, a 2-green, 2/4 with Reach. When it dies, create a 2/4 black spider creature token with Reach. Really cool little archetype of sacrificey stuff in black-green with this set. We have a Slaughterhorn. Oh, Blood Rush. I miss Blood Rush. So 2 and a green, 3/2. Blood Rush for a green. Discard Slaughterhorn. Target attacking creature gets +3/+2 until end of turn. So Blood Rush was the Gruul mechanic from the Return to Ravnica sets, and could be terrifying if someone opened a couple of these in a pre-release. Always scary. We have a Recover. 2 and a black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, draw a card. Excellent piece of recovery, common in black. Do miss seeing this stuff. We have Dragon Fodder Classic. This is from Alara originally. 1 and a red, sorcery, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Love that for your sacrifice Jund decks. Love that for your goblins decks. We have Youthful Knight. 1 and a white for a 2/1 with First Strike. Reasonable common. Just kind of does its thing. Have Grasp of Phantoms. 3 and a white, 3 and a blue, sorry. My brain not working correctly there. For a sorcery, put target creature card on top of its owner's library. Excellent. Got flashback for 7 and a blue. Great piece of removal in blue, considering at this sort of time it didn't have too much of the exile stuff as it does now. Ooh, second gate. We got a Rakdos Guildgate. We have a Giant Baiting, 2 and a hybrid red-green sorcery. Create a 4/4 red and green giant warrior creature token with haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. It's got Conspire. Fantastic red and green mechanic. A lot of those that have played a lot of Commander might have seen Wart the Raid Mother. She gives all of your red and green spells this ability. So Conspire is, as you cast this spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a color with it. When you do, you create a copy of the spell. So getting 2 4/4s for 3 mana and tapping 2 creatures seems really good. Could very much end a game. Mudbutton Torchrunner. 2 and a red for a 1/1 Goblin Warrior. When he dies, he deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Again, fantastic in this Jund sort of red, black, green sacrifice deck that wanted to have all its creatures die off and just deal with everything it needed to. Familiar's Ruse. A blue instant. As an additional cost to cast Familiar's Ruse, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. Counter target spell. This seems really strong. Blue, counter target spell is a thing we've seen before in Counterspell and Mana Drain and even Wizard's Retort from Dominaria, if you control the wizard. But bouncing the creature back to your hand seems really good for this, especially considering this came and was designed for the blue-black fairies lists. It was really good bouncing your own creatures in that sense. We have a Gore Clan Rampager. Wow, is this thing a blowout in Ravnica Limited? It's a 2 red-green 4/4 with trample. That's Blood Rush for a red and a green. You discard it, and target attacking creature gets +4/+4 and trample until end of turn. I lost a lot of games to this thing. A lot of games. Oh, we're in uncommons as well. We have a Harmonize. Beautiful color shifted card here from the days of yore. It's essentially Opportunity, if I'm correct there, which is 2 blue, draw 3 cards. This is 2 green, draw 3 cards. You see this all over the place in Commander, and not so much in Modern, but you do still see it quite a lot because it gives green the access to the card draw that it desperately needed. Our rare is an Uvenwald Tracker. 1 green for a 1/1, Human Shaman. 1 and a green, tap. Target creature you control fights another target creature. This thing is terrifying if it hits the right place. It's amazing in Commander. In Jumpstart there was a commander that cared about your creatures fighting. This thing makes it even better. Yeah, love this guy. He is genuinely one of my favorite creatures from Innistrad. Then our foil is a Druid's Deliverance. 1 and a green, instant. Prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to you this turn. Populate. Okay, so populate is you create a token that's a copy of a creature token you control. So you get to protect yourself, and you get to make more tokens of, well, whatever token you've already been making this game. And all of a sudden, you now have a better board than your opponent and get to survive their lethal attack, I guess.
All I'm saying is Turbo Fog.
Of course. And our token is a Saproling. So I think my first pick from this pack is probably actually the Familiar's Ruse, really. How about you, Chris? What are you thinking?
It's the bear baiting. 1 drop to fight. Remove that target creature. Yeah.
See, I can see the argument. I'm liking it too. I think the other, it sticks me firmly in red-green, but I would definitely fight for the Gore Clan Rampager.
I pop the foil.
The foil is the foil's always nice.
In limited, if you're opening up some kind of fog, and it just turns the tide of the game, it changes it. It really does. Something like that, where it's a 2-drop, you've got 2 mana open, you're playing in green, and you're drafting. No one's going to expect something like that, to be honest.
No. A lot of people would expect it in your sideboard, but because it does the populate as well, if you're already making tokens, it's just gravy on top of gravy at this point.
You need some way of making tokens in that. So it might be a bit of a whiff if you get through the entire drafting process and you're like, oh no, I didn't do it.
So, shall we move on to the first booster of Modern Horizons 2 with lovely Gaeodrome Dihada on there. She's very interesting. So let's crack this open. Ooh, that's a great sound. That's a great sound.
It's the smell. Do they still smell? I've been doing a lot of retro pack openings recently. Do they? Oh no, hang on. Well, later on, when we finish up, we'll do a really random surprise opening at the end of the video.
Okay.
A really random surprise opening, and you can have a smell of that.
All right. Yeah, sure.
But I'm going to give you 5 minutes talking to yourself because I just need to do a couple of jobs outside. Anything that comes up,
good old
tech,
token.
I will answer as soon as I get there.
So, Modern Horizons 2. Our first card being Battle Plan. Battle Plan is a 3 and a red enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. It's also got basic land cycling for 1 and a red. I think this card is pretty good. If you're playing a sort of one-man show style deck, a bit of Voltron, you could definitely make something a bit bigger. Shame it doesn't give haste. But the basic land cycling is nice, and it's only a common. So, we have Kitchen Imp. I love this guy. He is a direct reference to Kitchen Finks in the art there. So Kitchen Imp is a 3 and a black 2/2 with flying and haste and madness for a black. So if this card was discarded, you put it into exile, and then when you do, you can cast it for its madness cost, or you put it into your graveyard. I saw a lot of this thing in Limited with the Madness style deck, the blue-black Madness deck that cared about discarding cards. Definite force to be reckoned with for 1 mana, 2/2 with flying and haste. Fine card. We have Funnel Web Recluse, 4 and a green for a 3/5 spider with reach. And Morbid, when it enters the battlefield, if a creature died this turn, Investigate. So Investigate creates a colorless clue artifact token with pay 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. I think this card is perfectly fine. The Morbid trigger on it might be a little hard to pull off, depending on the sort of strategy you're playing. Then again, if you're playing, it's 5 mana, so if you're playing a deck that's relatively low to the ground, killing an opponent's blocker and getting yourself a token seems perfectly fine. Faithless Salvaging. I love this card. So Faithless Salvaging is 1 and a red for an instant. Discard a card, then draw a card with Rebound. So it goes into exile and you cast it at the beginning of your next upkeep. This card is perfectly fine for red. Red needs this sort of rummaging effect, and especially one that's sort of kind of repeatable. The card draw is definitely something that's needed. We have Ethereum Spinner, 2 and a blue for a 2/1. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Very good in this set. There's a lot of big things that you're going to want to be casting, and being able to get the extra creature alongside that, as well as it being an artifact, excellent. Disciple of the Sun, 4 and a white for a 3/3 with lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to your hand. This very reminiscent of Sun Titan, and there was a card in Strixhaven that did something very similar, returned a creature with mana value 2 or less, I believe. This is very good. It gets back a lot of your little things. It even gets back the Ethereum Spinner, and triggers the Ethereum Spinner to make the Thopter as well. White likes this sort of recursion, this mana value recursion. Perfectly fine card. Foul Watcher, 1 and a blue for a 1/2 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you surveil 1. So you look at the top card of your library. You can put that card into your graveyard if you wish. And it has Delirium. So as long as there are 4 or more card types in your graveyard, it gets +1/+0. So it becomes a 2/2 for 2 mana with flying. It's also a Nightmare Bird. It's a very strange creature type combination, but it's what we expect from Modern Horizons. This card has seen a lot of play in Blink decks, especially considering it's a good way of putting creatures into your graveyard for your Disciples of the Sun, for your Sun Titans, for your return target creature card kind of effects. We have Terminal Agony, which is 2 black-red for a sorcery. Destroy target creature. It has Madness for a black and a red. So this, again, in that discard strategy of sending cards from your hand to the grave, discarding cards, you can use this as essentially a Terminate, which was a card, again, from Alara that just destroyed target creature for 2 mana. It fits the bill, and because of Madness, you can sort of get around its sorcery speed restriction if you can discard it during your opponent's turn. We have Fodder Tosser, which is a 3 mana artifact. Tap, discard a card. Plays into the 2 Madness cards we've got already. Fodder Tosser deals 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. Excellent way of removing those pesky planeswalkers or just dealing that little bit extra damage. And because you're discarding a card as well, it's triggering all your Madness effects. So getting your 1 black for your Kitchen Imp or your 2 mana to destroy a creature as well as dealing some damage is always nice. We have Chrome Courier. Chrome Courier is a 1 blue white 1/1 with flying. It's a Thopter. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and put the other into your graveyard. If you put an artifact card into your hand this way, you gain 3 life. I originally read this card as put the artifact into your graveyard, but putting it into your hand, gaining that 3 life is always nice. It doesn't mean too much in your Commander, your Modern. However, it would mean a lot more in Limited, where this card it does shine. We have Abiding Grace, 2 and a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, choose 1. You gain 1 life, or return target creature card with mana value 1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Again, with the returning specific mana values of cards from your graveyard to the battlefield or graveyard to your hand, the gaining the life here isn't so much necessary, but there is a little bit of a life gain sub-theme in this set. We have Fey Offering, which is 2 and a green for an enchantment at the beginning of each end step here, so it triggers on your opponents as well. If you've cast both a creature spell and a non-creature spell this turn, create a clue token, a food token, and a treasure token. So you get a little bit of extra mana, a little bit of card draw, and some life gain as well for that food. Casting both isn't necessarily very hard. Casting both during an opponent's turn might be that little bit more difficult, but it's definitely possible. A good card overall. We have Flametongue Yearling, which is a red 2/1 Kavu with multi-kicker 2. So you can pay 2 in addition and any number of times, an additional 2 any number of times, and it enters the battlefield with that many +1/+1 counters on it. And when it enters the battlefield, when Flametongue Yearling enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature. Some excellent removal. At 6 mana, it deals 4 damage to something which is the same as Flametongue Kavu, a really old card, which this thing is a reference to. And even at 4 mana, dealing 3 damage to a creature is usually enough to deal with it, to get it off the board, to not have to worry about it. We have Mishra's Factory. This is a reprint. You can tell because of the watermark in the background. It's a land that taps for a colorless, and for 1 mana, it becomes a 2/2 Assembly Worker artifact creature token until end of turn. Or artifact creature, sorry. But it's still a land. And tap, target Assembly Worker gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Card is perfectly fine. I've seen a lot of this blocking, paying 1 mana to make it block as a 3/3, or you can have it attack as a 2/2. And our rare is... Oh yes, I forgot about this card. This is Asmarano Mardika Dyson Akuldakar, who is a manaless 3/3 legendary creature human wizard that as long as you've discarded a card this turn, you can pay a hybrid black-red to cast this spell. And when Asmarano Mardika Dyson Akuldakar enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card named the Underworld Cookbook, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle, and you can sacrifice 2 food to have target creature deal 6 damage to itself. This card is excellent. For those commander lovers, it's a fantastic legendary creature that you can really flex on people for knowing its full name and understanding how to pronounce it. Or if you just kind of like playing that sort of discardy strategy, it's really good. I've seen a lot of this thing doing good work in Commander. So, pack number 1. Let's move on to pack number 2. Ooh, opened a lot easier than that. So we have Hell Mongrel, 3 and a black, 4/3 Nightmare Dog. Discard a card. It gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and Madness for 2 and a black. So it's in that discard strategy again. And it gives you a free discard outlet. Let's move that out of the way. We have Smell Fear, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Proliferate, which is choose any number of permanents and/or players, then give each of them another counter of each kind they already have there. And then target creature you control fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So if you've got anything going around with counters, with +1/+1s, make it a little bit bigger, and then it gets to fight something. Seems perfectly fine. Some good removal. We have Viashino Lashclaw. It's 1 and a red for a 2/2. Viashino Warrior. Tap, discard a card, fitting into that Asmarano deck. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. This is excellent. I love this kind of effect. I love giving all of your creatures haste, especially. Good way to end a game in Commander, or just sort of get off the ground if you're a little bit stuck. We have Torax Canticle, 3 and a black for a sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a card from it. That player discards that card, and then discards a card at random. So it's like a slightly more powerful Hymn to Tourach, although Hymn to Tourach is half the mana, it's double black. But it's perfectly fine. I wouldn't play this very much in Commander because it only targets 1 player, but could still be pretty good if you're playing a discard synergy style deck. We have Foundry Helix. 1 red-white for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a permanent. Nice and easy. Foundry Helix deals 4 damage to any target. If the sacrifice permanent was an artifact, you gain 4 life. So this is a direct reference back to things like Lightning Helix or War Leader's Helix from Ravnica. These kinds of cards are... I always like seeing them. They always make it so as that the red-white has some interesting removal. And with the sacrificing a artifact on this card, it plays into a lot of what Strixhaven was doing with the sort of red-white archetype having some artifact synergy. We have Parselmere, is a 1 and a blue 2/1 artifact creature Clue Mirror, and it has the 2, sacrifice it, draw a card, which is the Clue effect. I like seeing this card all the time. I like seeing cards like this. It would be fun to get a food. We have a food creature. It'd be fun to get a treasure creature at some point. I believe we might actually have one in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. But I like seeing these kinds of cards where Wizards are playing with the style of the cards a little bit more. We have Break Ties. 2 and a white, instant. Choose 1. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target enchantment. Exile target card from a graveyard. And it has Reinforce for a white. White, discard this card. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. I like seeing these kinds of effects. It adds the extra mana to... my mind has gone completely blank. It's the 1 and a green card that does the same thing. It's been reprinted a few times. It does quite literally these same effects. But it adds the Reinforce, which always makes it nice. And being as white and green are our sort of premier artifact and enchantment removal colors, I always like seeing it. Ooh, we have a Sketch Frame Phantasmal Dreadmaw, which is a 2 blue 6/6 dinosaur illusion with trample that says when it becomes a target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. Now, I love Phantasmal Dreadmaw because I loved Colossal Dreadmaw from Ixalan. I love that they've reprinted it. I also love these sketch frames because in the flavor text, the sketch frame, it isn't actually flavor text. In this one, it is action. Using the original art of Colossal Dreadmaw as inspiration, design an illusory version of the dinosaur. It gives you the art brief from Wizards themselves. I genuinely love this card. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Draykeeper. 3 black-green 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. And for 3 and a black, squirrels you control get +1/+0 and gain Menace until end of turn. So Menace is it must be blocked by 2 or more creatures. Squirrels are a thing in this set, and I think Wizards are using it as some kind of power boost to the tribe. I'm not upset about it. I like the idea of having squirrels be a thing, especially a thing in Modern and Commander. And I think this activate ability is absolutely fantastic. Next up, we have Dehada's Ploy. 1 blue-black, instant. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. You gain life equal to the number of cards you've discarded this turn. Jumpstart. You may cast this from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs, then exile the card. So going back to that discard synergy blue-black deck, this fits absolutely perfectly. It gives you a divination style effect. It gives you the discard effect, which will allow you to cast a lot of your madness stuff, allow you to cast your Asmarana, Marika, Dyson, and Kuldakar. And the jumpstart also plays into that because you're discarding the card to get the effect. We have Blessed Respite, which is 1 and a green instant. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. So going back to the pack of Modern Masters 2017, it's another fog style effect. It prevents all the damage, but the added thing of shuffling that target player shuffling their graveyard into the library could be very powerful. I think it could have a humongous use. We have Liquid Metal Talk, which is a 2-mana artifact that taps to add a colorless or taps to target non-land permanent becomes an artifact in addition to its other types until end of turn. So this is a direct reference back to Liquid Metal Coating, which turned any permanent into an artifact, which could really mess with quite a lot. I like seeing these cards. I like seeing these sort of functional reprints that have added mana rocks. I have played quite a bit of this in Commander, and it has been good. We have Altar of the Goyf, a 5-mana tribal artifact. Lurgoyf. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of card types in all graveyards. And Lurgoyf creatures you control have trample. This is... I love the reference to all of the Lurgoyf cards, to Tarmogoyf being the big behemoth of them, I suppose. With the effect where whenever a creature you control attacks, doesn't necessarily need to be a Lurgoyf, gets the bonus. And just giving the Lurgoyf creatures trample is just extra. It's just nice. We have a Quirion Ranger. This card sees a lot of play in competitive Commander. It is a 1-green, 1/1 Elf Ranger. Return a forest you control to its owner's hand. Untap target creature. Activate only once each turn. A lot of the big mana mono green decks like seeing this, or any decks that care about untapping their creatures quite a lot. Unfortunately, you've got to return the forest, but if you've got ways of getting around that, it gets a lot more powerful. Our rare is General Ferrus Rakeric. He is a 1 red-white 3/1 legendary creature human soldier with hexproof from monocolored. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a 4/4 red and white golem artifact creature token. I have seen this as a commander quite a lot. He is very, very powerful in these red-white multicolored matters decks. And he's a genuinely fun commander to play. And then we have a food token. I love the art for these. And Chris has just returned to the room.
Yes, hello, welcome back. Ooh.
So I have just shown Chris this card.
So how does that effect work with a commander then?
It always costs. It adds the commander tax to the cost of the card because you're casting it for that mana.
Yeah. Cool. Wow.
Let's move on, shall we? Crack open number 3. We have Guiltblade Prowler. I apologize. Which is a 2 and a black 2/3 human rogue. 1 tap. Pay a life. Draw a card. Activate only if you've discarded a card this turn. Again, it fits into that blue-black discard synergy style deck. Very, very, very interesting card. We have an Old Frame Glimmerbairn, which is a 1 green 1/2 oof, who says sacrifice a token. Glimmerbairn gets +2/+2 until end of turn. The thing I love about this card is it doesn't say sacrifice a creature token, it's just a token. So all these foods and clues and treasures that you're making in your games, especially in green and blue in this set, you just get to eat them all up and make it humongous. And it can just trample over, or well, not quite trample over, but it can definitely go good places. We have a Gouged Zealot, 3 and a red for a 4/3 with reach. Award for this had reach in this set. With Delirium. Whenever Gouged Zealot attacks, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, Gouged Zealot deals 1 damage to each creature the defending player controls. And that's an interesting effect, especially for a creature with reach. You tend not to have them attack, but the fun thing about this is you can hold it back, block a couple of flyers, and then once you've got 4 card types in your graveyard, he starts just getting to deal damage to everything. We have a Sketch Frame Lens Flare. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's 4 and a white for a instant with affinity for artifacts. So this costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. And Lens Flare deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Absolutely gorgeous looking card. I don't think the effect is super strong, but white definitely loves it. And this flavor text, this sketch flavor text, again, we've got intent. The spell shows a creature being damaged by powerful rays of light. That's definitely what we've got. It's a lizard and some powerful rays of light. We have Mental Journey. 4 blue for an instant. Draw 3 cards. Basic land cycling, 1 and a blue. Discard this card. Search library for a basic land. Put it into your reveal it and put it into your hand. I think this card's perfectly serviceable. I don't think it's something you want in every game, and I don't think you're always going to be casting it to draw those 3 cards. I think quite often you're going to be discarding it to search for the land, as it's something that blue doesn't do very well. Not anymore, at least. But definitely fine card. We have Unbounded Potential, which is a 1 and a white instant. Choose 1, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, and proliferate. So choose any number of permanents and/or players. Give each of them another counter of each kind already there. With Entwine for 3 and a white, so you can choose both of them if you pay 4 and 2 white. So you could give 2 creatures +2/+2 at instant speed as well. Seems pretty good. We have another Foundry Helix. We have a Razortide Bridge. It enters the battlefield tapped. It's indestructible and adds a white or a blue. It's an artifact land as well. These are exciting to see returning. We have Mere Scrapling. 1 mana for a 1/1 with sacrifice it, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Always happy to see this, especially in colorless. Those decks that don't necessarily focus on getting big creatures can always use this in the early game and block with it and then get rid of it to make something else a bit bigger. We have Archfiend of Sorrows, who is a 5 black 4/5 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -2/2 until end of turn. Then it has a absolutely fantastic ability in Unearth, which is 3 black. You return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, but you exile at the beginning of the next end step, or if it would leave the battlefield, you can only do that as a sorcery. There's some fun ways around Unearth, especially if you have any experience playing with or against a Cedrus the Traitor King deck. You know that's their sort of MO. We have Graceful Restoration, 3 white for a sorcery. Choose 1. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, or return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is fantastic. I love these choose 1 effects. They're very versatile. You can do a lot of things with them. And especially when you have the creature come back with the additional +1/+1 counter on it, it does mean that your Archfiend of Sorrows is now a 5/6 flyer. It's definitely not something to shake a stick at. We have Junk Winder, which is a 5 blue 5/6 serpent with affinity for tokens. So a bit like that affinity for artifacts earlier. For each token you control, it costs 1 less. Whenever a token enters the battlefield under your control, tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. I currently have a blue-green commander deck that cares about making lots of tokens, and this thing has won me many games. It's very strong. The tapping down whenever a token comes in, it doesn't necessarily have to be a creature token in this case. So if you're playing the Investigate deck from this set, you can get lots and lots of tokens enter. We have a Sea Drake. Sea Drake is a solid C, I'd say. He's 2 and a blue for a 4/3 flying. When he enters the battlefield, return 2 target lands you control to their owner's hands. So if you've got any of those lands that do something when they come in, like scrying or gaining life, or if you just have a deck that cares about playing lands, seems perfectly fine. Then we have an Arid Mesa. This is one of the chase cards in this set. It's a fetch land. So it's a land that you can tap, pay a life, sacrifice it, and search your library for a mountain or a plains card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. These are exciting. This is the first proper time we've had them reprinted that hasn't been in a secret lair. So these are exciting to see. And then we have a foil old frame Monoskelion. It's a 2 mana 1/1 artifact creature construct. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, and 1, remove a +1/+1 counter from it. It deals 1 damage to any target. So this is a direct reference to Triskelion, which was a 6 mana creature that did this with three counters instead, which was part of horrible infinite loops. But it's always nice to see this, and especially in foil, because that is gorgeous. And then we have a treasure token. Let's move these. So, on to the next one. We have a Deepwood Denizen, a 2 and a green, 3/2 with Vigilance. It's an elf warrior. And for 5 and a green, tap, you can draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to cast, 1 less to activate, for each +1/+1 counter on creatures you control. So if you're playing a big +1/+1 counters deck, or you're playing, let's say, Hamza from Commander Legends, a deck that cares about having lots of creatures with +1/+1 counters on them, you can essentially just pay 1 mana and draw a card. It's always good. We have Tavern Scoundrel. This is exciting to see because they are focusing a lot more on these kinds of effects. So this is a 1 and a red, 1/3 human rogue that says, whenever you win a coin flip, create 2 treasure tokens. And for 1, tap and sacrifice another permanent, you get to flip a coin. With some of the synergies in this set and some of the older stuff, it's always nice seeing coin flips, and it's always nice seeing you getting bonuses for doing them. Another Hellmongrel. A Jade Avenger, who is 1 and a green for a 2/2 Frog Samurai with Bushido 2. So whenever this creature blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I'm not sure why they decided to give us a Frog Samurai. I'm not upset about it, but I'm just not sure why.
Why not?
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
We then have a Knighted Mir. He is 2 and a white, or it is 2 and a white, for a 2/2 artifact creature Mir Knight. For 2 and a white, it adapts 1. So adapting is, if it has no counters on it, you put a number of counters on it equal to its adapt number, which in this case is 1. And whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on Knighted Mir, it gains double strike until end of turn. This is a very cool card. I have been looking for a reason to try and build with this for a while. It's super interesting. We have Aeromoeba, which looks like it might be misprinted. Which is 3 and a blue for a 2/4 elemental beast with flying, and you can discard a card and switch its power and toughness until end of turn. So this again fits into that blue-black sort of discard synergy style deck. It's a free discard outlet. Does that look misprinted to you on the top? We have an Arcbound Prototype. 1 and a white for a 0/0 assembly worker with modular 2. So this creature enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and when it dies, you can put its +1/+1 counters on target into artifact creature. Would be really good with your Knighted Mir. Would be really good with any of your red-white artifact synergy stuff in this set. It's just a fine card. We have Captured by Lagax. It's 1 green-white for an enchantment or an enchant creature. It can't attack or block. And when Captured by Lagax enters the battlefield, support 2. So you put 2 +1/+1 counters on each of up to 2 target creatures. I can see a bit of a strategy coming together here. We have a Goldmire Bridge, which is same as the previous artifact land, except this time it's white or black. We have another Mir Scrapling. We have a Radiant Epicure. 4 and a black for a 5/5 Vampire Wizard with Converge. Converge is, when it enters the battlefield, for each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of colors spent to cast this spell. So this fits into the 5-color, the multicolored mattered style strategy that General Ferrus Rakirik fits into, and some other cards that we may or may not see in the rest of this box. We have an Old Frame Liquid Metal Torque. We have an Arcus Acolyte. 3 and a white for a 2/2 Human Cleric Archer. That's too many creature types. With Reach and Lifelink. And Outlast for a hybrid green or a white. So for a hybrid green or a white and tap, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, but you can only do it as a sorcery. Each other creature you control without a +1/+1 counter on it has Outlast for a hybrid green and a white. Card's pretty good. Works really well with the Deepwood Denizen that we saw earlier, that cares about a lot of your creatures having +1/+1 counters on them. We have another Quirion Ranger. And then we have a Ragavan Nimble Pilferer, who is a 1 red, 2/1 Monkey Pirate. I love this guy. So who says, whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you create a treasure token and exile the top card of that player's library, and until end of turn, you may cast that card. And it has a dash for 1 and a red. So you can cast it for its dash cost, and it gains haste. And then we have a Thopter token. Let's crack open another. Keep the train rolling. We have another Viashino Lashclaw. We have a Nested Shambler, 1 black for a 1/1 zombie. It's old frame as well, gorgeous. When it dies, it creates X tapped 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens, where X is its power. So at base, it creates 1. If you've started to put some +1/+1 counters on it, maybe with the Outlast creature from earlier. We have a Jewel-Eyed Cobra, 2 and a green, 3/1 with a Death Touch. And when it dies, you create a treasure token. Seems very good. Seems very good overall. A 3/1 with Death Touch, so it's going to trade with basically everything, unless it has Indestructible, and you get the treasure out of it. Always seems good. We have Revolutionist, who is 5 and a red for a 3/3 human wizard, who when he enters the battlefield, you return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And he has Madness for 3 and a red. This is a direct reference to Anarchist from, I'm going to say, The Dark. He's a very, very old card. So the Madness cost is quite literally Anarchist's cost, and the effect is Anarchist. However, this time it's 6 mana and it's got the Madness. I think this is a fantastic reference. We have another Foul Watcher. We have an Arcbound Mouser, which is 1 white for a 0/0 with lifelink. They're with modular 1. So this is when it enters the battlefield, it enters with a +1/+1 counter. When it dies, you can put it on another target artifact creature. It's perfectly fine. It's a great turn 1 play for your modular deck. Overall, it's perfectly fine. We have So Shiny, 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura, enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, if you control a token, you tap the enchanted creature and scry 2. And it doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Controlling a token in this set is very, very easy. I would very highly rate this for limited with this set. We have another Break Ties. We have another Chrome Courier. We have a Drossforge Bridge, like the other ones. Enters tapped, is indestructible. This time makes black and a red. We have another Glorious Enforcer. We have we haven't seen Glorious Enforcer yet. Glorious Enforcer is 5 white for a 5/5 with flying and lifelink. At the beginning of each combat, if you have more life than an opponent, it gains double strike until end of turn. So essentially, every combat, as long as this thing has been on the battlefield, it will gain double strike. We have a Scuttletide. Scuttletide is 1 and a blue for an enchantment. 1, discard a card, create a 0/3 blue crab creature token. And if you have Delirium, so 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, crabs you control get +1/+1. I love this because we're seeing Crab Tribal as well as Squirrel Tribal in this set, and it's fantastic. There's only a few cards that are, but there's lots of other crabs in Magic's history. We have another Altar of the Goyf. We have a Zuran Orb, which is a 0 mana artifact. Sacrifice a land, you gain 2 life. It's nice and simple. Pretty excellent card. A lot of the lands decks in Commander like this. We then have a Master of Death. 1 blue, black, 3/1 zombie wizard. When it enters the battlefield, you surveil 2. So you can look at the top 2 cards of your library. You can put any number of them in your graveyard, or you can put them back in any order. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if Master of Death is in your graveyard, you may pay a life. If you do, return it to your hand. Very, very fine card. Takes a lot to really get rid of this thing. It needs to sort of go to the graveyard and get exiled, or for whichever player to just not have a lot of life. Overall, excellent card. And we have a zombie token. Let's keep this train rolling.
How many packs are we in now?
This will be number 5. Number 6. Number 6. We have a Thorax Canticle, which we've already seen. We have a Flourishing Strike. 1 and a green, choose 1, deals 5 damage to target creature with flying, or target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. And it's got Entwine for 2 and a green, so you can choose both if you decide to entwine it. For 5 mana, you get to pretty handily deal with pretty much any creature with flying. There's a few that it doesn't deal with, but there's quite a lot of them. And make one of your creatures a bit bigger. We have a Mount Velas Manticore, who is 2 red for a 3/4 Manticore. The beginning of combat on your turn, you may discard a card. When you do, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of card types that the discarded card has. So this is playing into this sort of this card type matters with this set a little bit with like the Altar of the Goyf. There's a lot of cards that you get to deal 2 damage with. You're pretty consistently dealing 1 though, because it is card types, not creature types or anything else, unfortunately. We have a Cabal Initiate, who is 1 black for a 2/1. Discard a card, it gains lifelink until end of turn, and then it has Threshold. Threshold is having 7 or more cards in your graveyard, and if you do so, it's a 3/3. It gets +1/+2. We have the actual art for Phantasmal Dreadmaw. Saw this earlier. It's 2 blue for a 6/6 with trample that if it becomes a target of anything, it goes away. It gets sacrificed. We have Piercing Rays, 1 and a white for a sorcery. Exile target tapped creature. It also has Forecast. So for 2 and a white, you can reveal it from your hand, or 2 and a white and reveal it from your hand, sorry, because they're both part of the cost. You tap target untapped creature, but you can only activate it during your upkeep and only once each turn. So this quite handily for 5 mana, exiles most things. It's good. We have Bottle Golems, which is a 4 mana 3/3 artifact creature golem with trample. That when it dies, you gain life equal to its power. This is another fantastic reference in this set back to good old Bottle Gnomes, where you could sacrifice it and gain 4 life. We have another Draykeeper. We have another Goldmire Bridge. We have an Old Frame Brainstone, which is a 1 mana artifact. 2 and tap, sacrifice a Brainstone, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. This is Modern's Brainstorm, which is a pretty great mono blue staple. Draws you 3 cards, puts 2 cards from your hand on top of your library. This is exactly what this does, but you can set this up for later, and it gives any color the ability to do so. It's pretty great. We have Blossoming Calm, which is 1 white for an instant. You gain hexproof until your next turn and gain 2 life. It's got rebound, so you cast it again at the beginning of your next upkeep after it's resolved. We have a Specimen Collector, 4 and a blue for a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 1/1 green squirrel and a 0/3 blue crab creature token. And when it dies, you create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Seen a lot of this in these tokens style lists, especially in Limited. We have our rare is a Shardless Agent, who is 1 green blue for a 2/2 human rogue, artifact creature human rogue with Cascade. So you reveal when you cast it, you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less than it, and you can cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Then you put the rest of the cards on the bottom in a random order. This is a fantastic reprint for Modern. This is a fantastic reprint for Commander. I love this card. It's so good. We do also have a Mythic in this pack.
Oh,
no, sorry, it's another rare. We have Piru the Volatile. So double rares in this pack. Always happy.
Yeah.
Piru the Volatile is 2 red, white, black for a 7/7 legendary creature, Elder Dragon. I'm so glad we've finally seen the real 5th Elder Dragon, because Chromium is definitely not the real 5th one. That has flying and lifelink. And at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Piru unless you pay a red, a white, and a black. And when Piru dies, deals 7 damage to each non-legendary creature. And because of the way that lifelink works, it takes last known information, so you will gain a lot of life off of this thing dying. If your opponent doesn't deal with this in the correct way, you're cleaning up pretty handily. And then we have a foil Glimmerburn Baron. That's so pretty. I love the foiling on that, and it's such a cute little creature as well. And a Construct token.
Yeah. It's a thing dressed as a butterfly.
It's an oof.
It's an oof. It's in a costume.
It is. It's so cute. I love them. On to number 7. We have another Glimmer Baron. Are we in focus?
I don't know. Can you bring it up a little bit? See if
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe lower down. I'm a little bit concerned about the focus on this. It's a bit of a shame,
Should
but
be okay. So we have another Glimmer Baron. We have another Battle Plan. We have a Discerning Taste, showing off Azmarano, Mardica, Dice, and Akulakar here. 2 and a black for a sorcery. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You gain life equal to the greatest power among creature cards put into your graveyard this way. Always good for black. We have a sketch frame for Jade Avenger. This is really cool. So the flavor text on this one is action. Show a frog samurai who is a master swordsman, skilled and agile. He stands about 4 feet tall and wields a daisho. See ref. Doesn't want to give us the reference of what a daisho is, but we have another So Shiny. We have another Knighted Mirror. We have a old frame Aeromoeba. We have an Ethereum Spinner. We have a Rostvale Bridge and a Silverbluff Bridge. Back to back, love that. It's red and white and red and blue. We have a Skyblade's Boon. 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. It gets +1/+1 and has flying. And for 2 and a white, you can return it to its owner's hand. But you can only activate it if it's on the battlefield or in your graveyard. So it's an enchantment that never really goes away. We have another Scuttletide. Always excellent. Love seeing these. We have a Sketch Frame Arcbound Shikari. 1 red, white for a 0/0 cat soldier with first strike. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each other artifact you control. And it has modular 2, so this thing can be humongous. And because it has the modular as well, it's a 2/2 at base. It's 3 mana 2/2 with first strike at base. Always great. We have a Seal of Removal, which is 1 blue for an enchantment. Sacrifice it, return target creature to its owner's hand. It's a layaway unsummon. Always love seeing these. We have a Gaia's Will. This thing is a manaless green sorcery with Suspend 4 for a green. And it says, until end of turn, you may play lands and cast spells from your graveyard. If a card will be put into your graveyard from anywhere, this turn, exile that card instead. This is a direct, straight-up reference to Yawgmoth's Will, a card so powerful that it's played in basically every Legacy deck that can play it. And then we have a Clue token. On to number 8. Let's keep the trainer rolling. Ooh. We have I love this. We have a Sinister Starfish, which is a 1 and a black 0/3 starfish that taps to surveil 1. So you can look at the top card and you can put it in your graveyard if you wish. This is a corruption of Sigiled Starfish from Theros, which taps to scry 1. I think they've really hit the nail on the head with this. It quite literally is just the evil version of a Sigiled Starfish. We have Crack Open. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Create a treasure token. Always like seeing that. Another good friend of mine tends to say that they tend to add 1 mana on the end of these just because it's making the treasure, and it's kind of technically 2 mana.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. I think it's good for 3 mana, making a treasure as well. We have an Arcbound Slasher. 4 and a red for a 0/0 cat with modular 4. So it gets 4 counters when it comes in. It also has Riot. So when it enters the battlefield, you get to choose whether it gets another +1/+1 counter or haste. Excellent. We have Tyzerus Charger. 2 and a black for a 3/2 Pegasus with escape for 4 and a black and exile 5 of the cards from your graveyard. And escaping is you can cast it again from your graveyard by paying this cost. And it escapes with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or a flying counter. So it either comes back as a 4/3 or a 3/2 flyer. We have a Steel Fin Whale, 5 and a blue 3/4. A whale with affinity for artifacts, so it costs 1 less for each artifact you control. And whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, untap it. You can do a lot of cool stuff with that. We have Breathless Knight, 1 white black for a 2/2 Spirit Knight with flying and lifelink. And when it or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature enters the battlefield or you cast it from a graveyard, You get to put a +1/+1 counter on Breathless Night, so it gets bigger and bigger the more stuff you play from your grave. We have Landscaper Kolos, which is a 5 and a white 4/6. When it enters the battlefield, you put target card from an opponent's graveyard on the bottom of their library. Good way of messing with your opponent's graveyard strategies. And it basic land cycles for 1 and a white, so you get to go and search for a basic land and put it in your hand. We have another Mental Journey, another one of the basic land cyclers. We have Tormod's Crypt Keeper, which is a 3-mana 3/2 artifact creature golem with vigilance that you can tap and sacrifice it and exile all cards from target player's graveyard. It's a Tormod's Crypt on a guy, on a creature. I think it's great. We have another Dahada's Ploy. We have a Tireless Provisioner, which says when a land enters the battlefield under your control, you create a food or a treasure. Both of those are pretty good. The 3-mana 3/2, 2 and a green. Yeah. Clattering Augur. 1 and a black for a 1/1 that can't block. And when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and lose a life. And you can pay 2 and 2 black to return it from your graveyard to your hand. It's a skeleton. He's really funny. It's really funny? I don't know. It's got antlers. We have Spreading Insurrection. 4 and a red for a sorcery. Gain control of target creature you don't control until end of turn. Untap that creature and it gains haste. And it's got Storm. So when you cast this spell, you copy it for each spell you cast before, or each spell cast before it this turn, not necessarily you, and you may choose new targets for the copies. This is another direct reference to the card Insurrection, which is 8 mana and it just steals everybody else's creatures. This does it slowly and expensively, but it's awesome. We then have a Riptide Laboratory, which is a land, taps for a colorless, and for 1 and a blue, tap, return target wizard you control to its owner's hand. Excellent for your wizard tribal decks, especially those that care about the enter the battlefield stuff. And then we have Ave? I don't
know.
The Progenitor Ooze.
I only care about the ooze part, to be perfectly honest.
Which is 2 and 3 green for a 2/2 legendary creature Ooze with Storm. So again, for each spell you've cast before it this turn, it copies it, and the copies become tokens. It isn't legendary if it's a token, and it enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other Ooze you control. There are some really fun videos of this thing across other channels on YouTube, but I think if you're playing this kind of strategy, you want to focus quite a lot on those quick and easy ramp spells, those cheap land grabs, and just make lots of oozes. That's what the deck wants you to do. Let me have the multicolored golem token. It's running away from me. Ave. So we've just Googled it, and it's pronounced Ave. Good to know.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
So, pack number 9, we have a Crack Open, a Battle Plan, a Hell Mongrel, a Discerning Taste, an Air Amoeba, a Old Frame Blacksmith Skill, which is a 1-white instant that target permanent gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, and if it's an artifact creature, it gets +2/+2. Really good for protecting your key permanents. We have a Wave Sifter, which is 3 green blue for a 3/2 flying elemental. It's a strange looking fish. But when it enters the battlefield, it investigates twice. So you make 2 clue tokens. And it evokes for a green and a blue. So you can cast it for its evoke cost, and when you do, it gets sacrificed. We have a Recalibrate, which is 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. And if you've discarded a card this turn, you get to draw a card. Excellent. We have a Slagwood Bridge. Like the others, it's... we also have a Dark Moss Bridge. The indestructible artifact lands that enter tapped. They're always good to see. We have a Glinting Creeper. 4 and a green for a 0/0 plant. With Converge, enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. And it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So this thing could very easily be a 5-mana 10/10.
That's not scary at all.
Definitely not. We have a Slag Strider. 5 red for a 3/3 Elemental with affinity for artifacts. It costs 1 less for each artifact you control. And for 1, sacrifice an artifact. Slag Strider deals 1 damage to any target. Seems good. 2 mana 3/3 that you can start chucking your artifacts at people. We have an Underworld Hermit, which is 4 black for a 3/3 human peasant. When it enters the battlefield, you create a number of 1/1 and green squirrel creature tokens where equal to your devotion to black, which is the number of black mana symbols in the costs of cards you control. So, lots of squirrels.
We like lots of squirrels.
We do. We have a Mog Salvage, 2 and a red for an instant. If an opponent controls an island and you control a mountain, you can play this without paying its mana cost. And it just destroys target artifact. That's all it needs to do. If it's free, you just get to get rid of someone's artifact.
Especially if they're playing blue.
Oh, yes. And then we have a Thraster Tempest's Roar. Very excited to see this. This is a 10 green 7/7 legendary creature dinosaur. Costs 3 less to cast for each other spell you cast this turn. It's got trample and haste. It has trample over planeswalkers. So this creature deals excess combat damage to the controller of the planeswalker it's attacking. And it has hexproof as long as it's entered the battlefield this turn. This thing is very exciting. Seeing more of this would be nice, the trample over planeswalkers. It's a very cool card. And then we have a crab. Good old crabs.
Yay, crabs.
Finally into the 10.
Yeah, we've broken an hour.
We have another Smelfear. We have a sketch frame Faithless Salvaging. Mood, a bit regretful, but still looking for loot. We have a Loathsome Curator, 4 and a black, 5/4 with Exploit. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. It's got Menace. And if you did exploit a creature, so you sacrifice the creature when it came in, you get to destroy a creature you don't control with mana value 3 or less. Seems fine. We have another Funnel Web Recluse. We have a Soul of Migration, a 5 white 2/4 flyer that when it enters the battlefield, you create 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens, and it's got Evoke for 3 and a white. So you can cast it and it gets sacrificed when you cast it for that cost. We have a Shattered Ego, which is a 1 blue enchantment aura, enchant creature. It gets -3/-0, and for 3 blue, you put the enchanted creature into its owner's library, 3rd from the top. You do lose the enchantment, but for 6 mana, you just get to get rid of something. Seems nice. We have an Old Frame Terminal Agony. We have another Draykeeper. We have a Dark Moss Bridge. We finally have the Underworld Cookbook, the card that's supposed to go with Azmarano. So it's an artifact for 1 mana that taps to discard a card and create a food. And for 4 and tap, you sacrifice it and return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Seems good.
Yeah.
Especially if you can go and search for it with Azmarano. We have a Combine Chrysalis, green and a blue, for an artifact saying creature tokens you control have flying. Excellent. 2 green-blue, tap, sacrifice a token, make a 4/4 green beast creature token, activate only as a sorcery. So you get to make 4/4 flying beasts.
Yeah.
Seems good. We have a Ghostlit Drifter, 2 and a blue for a 2/2 spirit with flying with absolutely gorgeous Kamigawan art. 2 and a blue, another target creature gains flying until end of turn. And for channel, X and a blue, you can discard Ghostlit Drifter. X target creatures get flying until end of turn. So for, let's say, 6 mana, let's say you've only got 6 creatures, you can just win the game with that. We have a Bone Shredder, 2 and a black, 1/1 with flying and echo for 2 and a black. So at the beginning of your upkeep, if it came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you pay its echo cost. And when it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. However, there is something else very exciting about this card. They've recently done a huge creature type update, and it is one of the first printings of this card to be a Phyrexian creature type.
Oh.
A little bit of a little useless fact for you there.
Yeah, that's good.
And then we have a very exciting card, Unmarked Grave, 1 and a black for a sorcery. Search your library for a non-legendary card, put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle. All those cards that care about being in the graveyard, all those reanimator spells and any number of things that you can have that interact with cards in your graveyard. As long as it's not legendary, you can just put it there. And then we have a foil Duskshell Crawler, which I don't actually think we've seen this card yet. It's a 1 and a green 0/3 insect. When it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample.
Yeah, like green's not going to like that at all. Like...
Definitely not. And then we have a 4/4 Beast token, which I love. The art for the new Beast tokens. Absolutely gorgeous. So on to number 11. Should be a little bit quicker now that we've seen most of the commons.
Yeah, you think we got through most of the commons now?
I would have thought so. He says as one literally appears. Galvanic Relay, 2 and a red for a sorcery. Exile the top card of your library during your next turn. During your next turn, you may play that card. So you can't play it during the turn you exile it, but you can during your next one. Interesting. It's got Storm, so for each spell cast before it, you get to copy it. That's a very interesting card.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have been during your turn, like during the turn you do it. But
it spreads your mana cost up a bit, doesn't it?
It does. It means you don't have to then worry about
playing that and then what you're going to be playing.
Yeah.
You know, you've got time during your next turn to set up for whatever you've drawn. Is it up or down? Face up or face down?
Just face up. Just exile the top card of your library.
So your opponent can see what's coming as well.
Yeah, but this is something that Red's been doing quite a lot. So it's this sort of chaos draw. We have a Guiltblade Prowler. We have an Abundant Harvest. Fun fact about this card. This was pre-printed as one of the Mystical Archive cards in Strixhaven.
Oh.
So it's 1 green for a sorcery. Choose land or non-land. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. It's Abundance. It's the enchantment 2 green, but it's just one shot.
Yeah.
It's really good.
You're searching for lands. You're trying to mana fix a little bit.
Yeah. We have Late to Dinner, 3 and a white, sorcery, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Make a food. Create a food token. I also love the fact that it's a rhino and an elephant. Both notoriously long-lived creatures.
Yeah.
We have a Disciple of the Sun, a Foul Watcher, a Fairgrounds Patrol, 1 and a white for a human soldier, 2/1. 1 and a white, exile it from your graveyard, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter. This reminds me quite a lot of the Innistrad cards that care about making the spirits. It's always good though. We have a Chrome Courier, a Fodder Tosser, a Squirrel Sanctuary, 1 green enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 1/1 green squirrel creature token, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you may pay 1. If you do, you return Squirrel Sanctuary to its owner's hand. Repeatable squirrels.
Yeah.
Always good. A Radiant Epicure, a Dragon's Rage Channeler, 1 red for a 1/1, with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Surveil 1. So you look at the top card, you can choose to either put it into your graveyard or on top. And Delirium, as long as there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard, Dragon's Rage Channeler gets +2/+2, has flying, and attacks each combat if able. So it's a 3/3 flyer that just continues attacking. We have a Soul Snare. Let's try and say that correctly. A Soul Snare.
Soul Snare.
A 1 white enchantment. And for 1 white and sacrifice it, exile a target creature that's attacking you or a planeswalker you control. Reprinted from the commander set as well. It's always nice. We have another Ave. And then we have a foil Hellmongrel. Our food. Really should be picking up a bit now. Oh. Open this bad boy up. We have a Scophos Reba, 2 and a red for a 2/3 that just says at the bottom in very large letters, kill for Mogis. I love that. As long as it's your turn, it gets +2/+0, and it has Madness for 1 and a red. We have a Loathsome Curator, a Duskshell Crawler, an Arcbound Slasher, a Wave Sifter, a Step Through, 3 blue, for a sorcery, return 2 target creatures to their owner's hands, and it's got Wizard Cycling. So you can pay 2, discard it, and go and search for a wizard.
Yeah.
We have Soul of Migration, Mine Collapse, 3 and a red, instant. If it's your turn, you may sacrifice a mountain rather than paying its mana cost. It deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. We have a Goblin Anarchomancer, a red and a green for a 2/2. Each spell you cast that's red or green costs 1 less to cast. Excellent. Love these. We have a Tanglepool Bridge, a Flame Blitz, and 1 red enchantment at the beginning of your end step. If it deals 5 damage to each Planeswalker, and it cycles for 2 mana. We have a Said and Done. Said is 2 and a blue sorcery. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And Done is a 3 and a blue instant. Tap up to 2 target creatures. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap step. Excellent. We have an Arcus Acolyte again. And we have a Mirari's Wake, which is a 3 green-white enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced. This card is incredible. It sees so much play in Commander. And then we have something else very exciting. We have an Ignoble Hierarch, which is a 1 green 0/1 Goblin Shaman with Exalted. So whenever a creature attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And it taps to add a black, a red, or a green.
That is a power card.
And it's a direct reference to Noble Hierarch, which did the same, but for a green, a white, or a blue. And a clue token. Ooh. This is fun. We've got all the draft archetypes on a card. Keep that to one side. That's very interesting.
Ooh.
We have Orchard Strider, 4 green for a 6/4 tree folk. When it enters the battlefield, you create 2 foods. And it's got basic land cycling for 1 and a green. So this is the green basic land cycle. I think we've seen all the others. We have a Old Frame Galvanic Relay. We have a Vermin Gorger, 1 and a black 2/2. It's a vampire. Tap, sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Very cool card. I like that. We have another Deepwood Denizen. We have a Disciple of the Sun, an Arcbound Prototype, a So Shiny, Late to Dinner, Tanglepool Bridge, Thornglint Bridge.
There are lots of double bridges in a row.
There is. This is the 4th time it's happened.
Not all the time, though. We have had single bridges on their own.
Yeah. We have a Necromancer's Familiar, 3 and a black, 3/1, Bird Spirit with flying. It's got Hellbent as well. So Necromancer's Familiar has lifelink as long as you have no cards in your hand. And for a black and discard a card, it gains indestructible until end of turn, but you tap it. I think this card's pretty good.
Yeah.
We have a Steel Dromedary, which is a 3 mana 2/2 artifact creature camel. And it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And it doesn't untap during your untap step as long as it has a +1/+1 counter on it. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may move a counter from it to another creature. Interesting card.
Yeah.
It's also a metal camel.
Is camel quite a large?
There are 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think there's a few more from Amonkhet and Hour of Devastation, but not very many. Have a Lazotep Chancellor, a blue and a black for a 1/3 zombie wizard. It says whenever you discard a card, you may pay 1. If you do, amass 2. So you make a 0/0. If you don't control a 0/0 zombie army or a zombie army token, you create 1. If you do, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on an army you control. And then we have Patchwork Gnomes, which is a 3 mana 2/1 artifact creature gnome. Discard a card, regenerate Patchwork Gnomes. And then we have Fractured Sanity. Oh boy, was I looking forward to seeing this one. This is 3 blue for a sorcery that says each opponent mills 14 cards. So each opponent puts the top 14 cards of their library into their graveyard. It cycles for 1 and a blue, and it says whenever you cycle it, when you cycle Fractured Sanity, each opponent mills 4 cards. This can be backbreaking if you're playing this in a limited environment. Imagine that your opponent is Bane and you are Batman in this case, because it's going to hurt. So let's keep the train rolling, shall we?
Oh, hour and 15 minutes so far.
Okay.
How far are we through? Just halfway.
Yeah, just about halfway. We have a lightning spear. One in a red. Equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has trample. And for 2 in a red, sacrifice lightning spear. It deals 3 damage to any target. So it's a lightning bolt. And it equips for 1. Seems good. Seems perfectly fine. It fits that the Arcbound archetype very well, the artifact creatures, red white ones.
Yeah.
We have Echoing Return. A black for a sorcery. Return target creature card and all other cards with the same name as that card from your graveyard to your hand.
Or Relentless Rats.
This is very interesting because there's a few different, it does say creature card, thankfully, but there's a few different creatures now. We have Rat Colony, we have Relentless Rats, and we have Shadowborn Apostles, all in mono black that you could return any number of them from your graveyard to your hand. We also have Persistent Petitioners, which is in blue. So if you're playing this in blue-black, and lots and lots of mill. We have Rift Sower, which is 2 and a green for an Elf Druid, 1/3. He says tap, add a mana of any color, at least I believe it says, and suspend 2 for a green. So this is very, very similar to the suspend card that goes and searches for a basic that was just recently reprinted in Time Spiral Remastered. We have a Scophos Reaver. We have an Unbounded Potential. We have a Burdened Aerialist. 2 and a blue for a 3/1 Human Pirate. It says, when it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. And whenever you sacrifice a token, Burdened Aerialist gains flying until end of turn. I think that's very cool flavor because you're losing the treasures, you're losing your clues or whatever, and he's getting lighter. We have a Piercing Rays. A Guardian Kirin, which is 3 and a white for a 2/1 flyer. Whenever another creature you control dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on Guardian Kirin. Excellent card. Very cool for your sacrifice style decks. We have another double of the Bridges.
Okay, so that's about 5 times.
Yeah. So a Drossforge and a Goldmire. We have a Barbed Spike, which is 1 and a white for a equipment, an artifact equipment. That when it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, and then attach Barbed Spike to it. And it gives the equipped creature +1/+0 and equips for 2. So you just make a 2/1 Thopter. It's very cool.
Yeah.
We have Scurry Oak, which I am very glad that we don't have the other half of the combo in this set, because there is a thing. So 2 and a green for a 1/2 Tree Folk with Evolve. So whenever a creature with greater power or toughness enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put onto Scurry Oak, you may create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. So there is a creature from Original Ravnica that says whenever a green creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So this thing gets infinitely big and you make a lot of squirrels.
That's nice. Nice.
We have a Fast and Furious. I feel like there's going to be family memes everywhere. Fast is 2 and a red for an instant. Discard a card, then draw 2 cards. Furious is 3 red for a sorcery. It deals 3 damage to each creature without flying. It feels very Fast and Furious to me. We have a Solitary Confinement. 2 and a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Solitary Confinement unless you discard a card. Skip your draw step. You have Shroud, which means you can't be the target of any spells or abilities, and you prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. It's very good for your sort of Pillar 40 Prisony style decks. And then we have a Bloodbraid Marauder. 1 and a red for a 3/1 that can't block. And this spell has Cascade as long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Cascade we went over earlier, which was the you exile until you find a spell that costs less than it and you cast that for free. So if you've got 4 card types in your graveyard, you're basically always getting a 1-drop off of this thing. And then another clue. Let's have a look, shall we? We got a Scophos Reaver, an Echoing Return, a Smell Fear, a Bannerhide Krushok, 3 and a green for a 4/4 beast with trample. It's got reinforced 2, so 1 and a green, discard it and put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. And it's got scavenge for 5 and 2 green. So you can exile this card from your graveyard by paying the cost and put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to its power onto target creature. You can only do that as a sorcery. So it gives you a cool way of using the card because you can discard it and then you can scavenge it onto something to give something +6/+6.
Beautiful.
We have Lose Focus. 1 on a blue for an instant with Replicate for a blue. So every time you pay the blue, you copy the spell. And you counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. So it's a soft counter spell, but it can be essentially a hard counter spell if you get it up to big enough numbers. We have a Fairground Patrol, a Old Frame Mine Collapse, a Dahada's Ploy, a Rostvale Bridge, but no second bridge this time. Healer's Flock, which is a 3-white 3/3 with flying and lifelink, which is a direct reference to Healer's Hawk, which is a 1-mana 1/1 with flying and lifelink.
Yes.
It's very much like the Llanowar tribe was in, I think it was the last Modern Horizons set. I think it's great.
Yeah.
We have a Lucid Dreams, 3 blue. Draw X cards, where X is the number of card types among cards in your graveyard. So again, it goes into that that number of card types deck that the Altar of the Goyf wants to be in. And here's the other land in the set in the pack. We have a Power Depot. It's another artifact land. Enters tapped. Taps for a colorless. You can tap to add a mana of any color, but you can only use that mana for artifact spells or the activated abilities of artifacts. And it has modular 1, which means it comes onto the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter. And when it dies, you get to move its counters to something to an artifact creature you control.
Didn't we have is it an artifact land?
It is an artifact land, so you can blow it up with artifact removal.
Yeah. There's stuff that eats artifacts in this that we've seen already.
Yeah. There's a couple of cards that do it. And the Shikari, the one we saw earlier, the Cat Warrior, will get bigger because of it.
Yeah. And then get a +1/+1 moved onto it.
Yeah.
Proliferate, there's some extra counters on it.
This is very scary. We have a Cursed Totem. Cursed Totem is 2-mana artifact. It says the activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. And unlike newer cards, because this is a reprint from Mirage, this doesn't say anything about not stopping mana abilities. So all your Llanowar elves and your
Leave me Llanowar elves alone.
They just don't work anymore.
Elvish Archdruids.
Oh damn. We have a Scalding Tarn.
Ooh.
Which is another one of the fetch lands. This is a absolutely fantastic one. Especially considering it's blue and red. And then our foil is a foil Scurryoak. Ooh, always happy to see more of him. He's pretty cool. He makes squirrels. And then a Thopter.
That's tasty. Don't forget, if you're watching this non-live, because we haven't got anyone watching live, it's the first time we've done it, wasn't expecting anyone to join us, but if you do join us for a live pack opening, you can call dibs on cards that you want to purchase. So if you see us opening something really tasty that you've been looking for, I'm sat here on the comments, ready to sell it to you, pretty much directly. Probably cheaper as well than we would list it on the site, because it saves us having to photograph it, put it up,
Very
all
true.
that time and effort. So yeah, if you want to watch live boxings, we'll be doing those more regularly.
Yeah.
With better equipment as well, because I'm a little worried these are out of focus. So this is a learning experience for us.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Of course. Shall we carry on with the next one?
Yeah.
I will also make mention that all of the cards that you're seeing today are up for sale on charactercreationsrpg.net.com.
Both .com or .co.uk. You got redirected there, so we didn't want to mess up on that one. I'll put it into here. I'll put the direct link to the shop if I can as well. Let's see if I can do that.
All of these links will be in the description of the video. So we have that's all being sorted out. We have a Cabal Initiate, a Funnel Web Recluse, a Faithless Salvaging, a Vermin Gorger, a new one, a Sketch Frame Floodhound. He is a 1 blue, 1/2 elemental dog. You can pay 3 and tap to investigate, so you make a clue token. And again, I'll read out the flavor text down here because it's the artist brief. We've got action. This creature is a bloodhound, formed entirely of water. So it's a Floodhound. I love the pun. I very much appreciate this one.
Sounds like it should be in an unlit set.
We have a Marble Gargoyle, who is a 2 and a white 2/2 flying. With pay a white, he gets +0/+1 until end of turn. So this effect has come to lovingly be known as butt breathing, because it gets a big butt.
Yeah.
It's very much like the fire breathing. The red gets +1/+0.
Yeah.
We have a Bannerhide Cruciok. We have a Dark Moss Bridge and a Razortide Bridge. Another Barbed Spike. A Foundation Breaker, which is a 3 and a green 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you get to destroy target artifact or enchantment, and it's got Evoke for 1 and a green, so it's a direct reference to Naturalize, which is a very classic card.
Oh, we love Naturalize.
We have another Spreading Insurrection. We have a Greed. Greed is a 3 and a black enchantment. It says black, pay 2 life, draw a card. Just repeatable. Very, very good for your Suicide Black decks.
Oh, yeah, you're playing a black deck that you want to take damage for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Loving that.
We have a Marsh Flats, which is another of the fetch lands, and then we have a foil Sithis Harvest's Hand.
Oh.
Which is very exciting. So Sithis is a green and a white for a 1/2 legendary enchantment creature nymph. And whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain a life and draw a card. It's very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
This is very exciting.
Yeah.
And we also have the Timeless Dragon token. This is for the Eternalized Dragon. It's very cool.
So yeah, also these things you're seeing Liam touch them with his bare hand, and then that's about as far as they go, because anything that's worth any kind of money goes into a sleeve directly afterwards. So.
And I will make sure my hands are clean. So.
Yeah, there you go. Already sleeved.
Sleeved and ready to go. So let's. We have a Sinister Starfish. Still love this card. Abundant Harvest. A Mount Velus Manticore. A Phantasmal Dreadmaw. A Foundry Helix. A Lens Flare. Ethereum Spinner. Tormod's Crypt Keeper. Dray Keeper. Young Necromancer, which is a 4 and a black 2/3, a human warlock that when it enters the battlefield, you may exile 2 cards from your graveyard. When you do, you return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I also love that it looks a little like a younger Liliana. However, we know it isn't because it was before she got the headdress. So it's a Liliana wannabe. We have a Sketch Frame Aethersworn Sphinx, which is a 9 mana, 7 white, blue, 4/4 flying Sphinx with affinity for artifacts. So it gets 1 cheaper for each artifact you control. But it also has Cascade. So Cascade cares about the total mana value of a card, not how much you paid to cast for it. So if you paid the 2, if you had 7 artifacts and you paid 2 for it, you'd still get to Cascade into something that costs 9 or less. And because it's a sketch room, I'll read out the flavor text. We've got Intent. Most Esper Sphinxes have minimal filigree enhancement, but this Sphinx has been extensively enhanced. Very cool. We have Sanctuary Raptor, a 3 mana 2/1 artifact creature bird with flying. And when it attacks, if you control 3 or more tokens, it gets +2/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. So it's a 3 mana 4/1 flying first strike. Seems reasonable. We have Millikin, which is a 2 mana 0/1 artifact creature construct which has tap, mill a card, add colorless. Perfectly fine. This saw a lot of play back in the day, but not so much now. Still good. Then we have a Sphialin of Sea and Sky.
Oh, I can't do pronunciation.
Sphialin.
I can Google it if you want.
This Merfolk God is a 1 blue 3/4 legendary creature. Has indestructible as long as you control at least 2 other Merfolk, and when it attacks, you draw a card. And it says other Merfolk you control have Ward 1, which is whenever another Merfolk you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you counter it unless that player pays 1. Then we have a foil normal frame Monoscallion.
Oh.
And a squirrel token.
Woohoo! We got our squirrel tokens.
Yeah, let's put
We
it.
want a squirrel deck. Like.
Well, there is a legendary squirrel in this set. We could very easily open.
Yeah, then I've got to buy it themselves.
So let's have a look. We have a Arcbound Slasher, a Tyzerus Charger, a Dusk Shell Crawler, a Sinister Starfish. So happy.
So, right, just to derail the entire project.
Of course.
So we've got the Mystic Starfish, the Sigil Starfish.
Yes.
And we've got a
Sinister Starfish.
Starfish. Are they setting themselves up for a Chocolate Starfish in
I don't know, but I kind of hope so. Also,
it would be in a classic artifact brown background.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. It would also be a mono artifact, I reckon.
Yeah.
Also, I would love to see the other three colors also get Starfish.
Yeah,
So,
Burning
like,
Starfish.
Burning Starfish that taps the dealer damage.
Mossy Starfish.
Which maybe
Mana.
taps for a colorless, I reckon. And then whatever the white one would, Holy Starfish.
Oh,
Taps to gain you a life.
Yeah, 1 life.
Yeah. That would be very cool. I would be very happy with that because they're all ones and they're all.
Then the problem is, then you need a Starfish Commander.
Of course.
Like a 5-color Starfish.
Chromatic Starfish.
Chromatic Starfish.
When it enters about it does the Tiamat thing. It's weird hybrids to make it 5-color but not quite 5-color. And when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you get to search for 5 starfish with different colors.
Yeah.
And put them onto the battlefield because they're only 0/3s. I'd love that. That would be fantastic.
Sorry, I just derailed.
That's absolutely fine.
We weren't anywhere important, were
We have a Burdened Aerialist, an Unbound Potential, an Urban Daggertooth, 2 green for a 4/3 dinosaur with Vigilance and Enrage. When it is dealt damage, you proliferate. Excellent. Multiple proliferates, and you can do lots of them per turn. We have a Hard Evidence, which is a 1 blue sorcery that makes a 0/3 crab and investigates. So it makes 2 tokens for the price of 1, and because it makes a crab, it plays into your crab tribal deck because somebody's going to want to play it.
Just getting visions of Sharky and George remade with crabs now. Investigating crabs.
I love that.
Sherlock crabs.
And then we have a Slagwood Bridge, an Old Frame Goblin and Narcomancer.
That's just pretty.
It is. I love the old multicolored frame.
I do love the old stuff. You don't like White Border, do you?
I don't like White Border personally, but that's only because they're all reprints anyway. We have a Tireless Provisioner. We have a Break the Ice, which would have been fantastic if it was in our first pack, because we really would have been breaking the ice.
Oh.
Which is a black sorcery. Destroy target land that is snow or could produce colorless. It has Overload for 4 black, which means you destroy all lands, or each land that is snow or could produce colorless.
Who runs Snowlands, though?
It's actually becoming a lot more prevalent with Kaldheim.
Is it?
It is.
Oh, okay. All right.
This card is a direct reference to response to Yorn, God of Winter, who is a very heavy snow deck.
Fair enough.
We have Arcbound Whelp, which is a 3 and a red 0/0 with flying. It's a dragon. For a red, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and it's got modular 2. So there's your fire breathing, as we were talking about the marble gargoyle earlier. Perfect fine card.
Yeah.
We have Yavimaya Elder, cool reprint. I like this card. When it dies, you may search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. And for 2, sacrifice it, draw a card.
Yeah.
Nice and
pay
simple.
2, draw a card, go searching.
Yeah.
It's
Essentially draw 3.
Yeah.
Like that. And then we have a Thought Monitor, which is a 6 and a blue 2/2 construct with affinity for artifacts, so it's not really 6 and a blue, it's like one blue. With flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw 2 cards. So it refills your hand and replaces itself. It's just all in all good card.
Yeah.
And then our token is a beast. I do love the beast token. Ooh. We have an Old Frame Bone Shards, which is a 1 black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature or discard a card, destroy target creature or planeswalker. So this, again, as I was talking about with the first pack, this plays very much into your your discard synergy style deck with the Asmarano and like all the other cards that care about discard with your madness stuff as well. Very, very good card. We have a Glimmerburn. It's so cute. We have a Galvanic Relay. A Kitchen Imp. Another card that plays into you. It's actually one of your madness cards.
Yeah.
Excellent. A Wave Sifter. A Old Frame Marble Gargoyle. A Parcelmere, which I'm just going to...
It's a clue.
It is a clue.
It is a clue.
Yeah.
It is a clue.
A Mind Collapse, a Storm God's Oracle, 1 blue-red for a 1/3 enchantment creature human shaman, and for 1, it gets +1/-1 till end of turn, so this is a reference to the Flowstone style effect, because there was a lot of Flowstone cards that did this. And when it dies, it deals 3 damage to any target.
Nice.
So this thing could trade with a 6/6. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
We have a Dark Moss Bridge on its own, a Tide Shaper, a 1 blue 1/1 with Kicker 1. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, target land becomes an island for as long as Tide Shaper remains on the battlefield.
Oh.
And it gets +1/+1 as long as an opponent controls an island. So it's
a lot you can do with that.
Yeah. Because it becomes an island as well, it loses everything else. So it just is an island. There's been some weird talks about this going into competitive Commander because it turns things into islands. So it can turn things like Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale into an island.
Yes, it is just an island at that
Just
point,
an
isn't
island.
it? Yeah.
We have Arcbound Javelineer, who is a 1-white 0/1 artifact creature soldier. And tap, remove X +1/+1 counters from Arcbound Javelineer. It deals X damage to target attacking or blocking creature. It's got modular 1. If you get a bunch of counters on this thing after a bunch of your other modular stuff's died, it's really strong. We have Filigree Attendant, 2 blue for a star 3 artifact creature homunculus with flying, and its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. Could be very big.
Wow.
Could be very big.
I'm seeing a lot of good blue artifacts in
Yes.
this.
Angelic Curator, 1 and a white for a 1/1 creature angel spirit. It's a 1/1 angel with flying and protection from artifacts.
Okay.
Very interesting. I like
I
it.
mean, a 2-drop for an angel,
Yeah.
like a flying angel, that's nothing to be sniffed at. If you're building an angel deck, you get
Or spirits, because it is also a spirit.
yeah. You got a lot more weenie spirits though. To pick
Yes.
on than you weenie angels are a bit.
We then have a Calibrated Blast, which is 2 and a red for an instant. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. Put the revealed cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. When you reveal a non-land card this way, Calibrated Blast deals damage equal to that card's mana value to any target. Flashback, 3 and 2 red.
Wow.
So that's a lot, but you could theoretically do 15, 16 damage to something. In this set alone, you could do 14 as your maximum.
Because flashback, just for the hard of thinking, like myself, is
So
you pay it from your
flashback.
graveyard.
Yep. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it.
Yeah. So you can play it twice in one turn.
If you've got the 8 mana for it, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
That would also be terrifying. And then we have a squirrel token, which we can never be upset about more squirrel tokens, especially with the amount of squirrels that this set makes. Let's do token first because it's another squirrel. So we have an Orchard Strider, a Sketch Frame Gargadon, which is 5 red for a 7/5 with trample and suspend 4 for 1 and a red. And suspend is you exile it from your hand for its suspend cost, and then every turn you remove a time counter from it because it gets that many. It gets 4 in this case time counters on it. Every time you remove one of them, and then when they all come off, the creature you can cast, whatever it is you can cast from exile, and it gains haste if it's a creature.
But that's exiled face down, correct?
That is face up.
So, that's face up.
Yeah.
So the opponent still knows it's coming.
Yes.
Right.
And the I'll read the flavor text again because it is a sketch frame. Intent. Magic has made a greater Gargadon and a lesser Gargadon. See ref. We want you to design the average Gargadon. So it is the average Gargadon. We have a Thorax Canticle, a Jewel-Eyed Cobra, a Shattered Ego, a Landscaper Kolos, an Urban Daggertooth, a Recalibrate, 2 Bridges back-to-back again, a Clattering Augur, a Junkwinder, a Sweep the Skies, which is X blue Converge sorcery. Create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying for each color of mana spent to cast this spell. So at 6 mana, you get 5 of them, but 2 of that mana is going to have to be blue. And then we have an Extruder, which is a 4 mana 4/3 artifact creature Juggernaut with Echo 4, and sacrifice an artifact to put a +1 counter on target creature. So Echo is at the beginning of your upkeep. If it came under your control since the last turn, you got to pay its cost, otherwise it goes away. And then we have a Dress Down, which is a 1 and a blue enchantment with flash. And when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Creatures lose all abilities. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Dress Down. So if you can play this on the right player's turn in a game of Commander, you have stopped them from winning, probably. This is very powerful. Very, very powerful. And I don't think it'll see a lot of play in Modern, unfortunately.
No.
It might. Ooh. And again, with the token first, it's a Thopter.
Yeah.
We have a Gouged Zealot. We have a Nested Shambler, a Rift Sower, Lightning Spear, an Old Frame Step Through. Looks great. I love the card with Wizard Cycling in the Old Frame. A Piercing Rays, a Floodhound, an Unholy Heat. 1 red for an instant, deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. And if you've got 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, it deals 6 damage instead. Mere Scrappling, a Mistvault Bridge, Vectis's Gloves, or Vectis Gloves. 2 mana equipment, artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has Artifact Landwalk. Equips for 2. So
Wow.
Artifact Landwalk is it can't be blocked as long as the defending player controls an artifact land. Very interesting.
Yeah.
We've seen Landwalk, like basic Landwalk. We've seen Legendary Landwalk. I don't think we've seen Artifact Landwalk yet. I like it. We have an Old Frame Monoskellion.
The old frames are so good, especially with the artifacts.
They do. We have a Timeless Witness, which is a 2 green 2/1 that when it enters the battlefield, you return target card from your graveyard to your hand. And it eternalizes for 4 and 2 green. So you exile this card from your graveyard and you create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie human shaman with no mana cost. You eternalize only as a sorcery. It's double Eternal Witness,
Yeah.
but actually as an Eternal Witness. We have a classic card, Counterspell. Blue, instant, counter target spell. I love the center frame with the original M in the background as well.
Flavor text. Blue player says no.
Yeah, very much so. And then we have a Misty Rainforest. So there's another of the fetches.
Is that 3 fetches so far? 4 Marsh Flats. Scalding Tarn.
Arid Mesa and Misty Rainforest.
Yeah. Wow.
So we are missing one of those for the cycle to be
I want to
complete.
give away a cycle of effective.
That would be great.
Like, just give them away. That would be awesome.
So let's keep it going because there's still about a third of a box left.
And we got another box as well for later on.
That we do.
We're also, we'll talk about that in between the next pack.
Okay.
Crap.
We have a Lightning Spear. We have a World Weary. 3 black for an enchantment aura enchant creature. It gets -4/-4 and it basic land cycle for 1 and a black. So there was a basic land cycle that I'd forgotten about, but I'm not upset about it because it is the black one. And black has a lot of those already. Plus the card's actually the best one on its own. We have a Chatterstorm. 1 and a green sorcery. Create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token with Storm. So for each spell you cast before it this turn, you copy it. Lots of squirrels all at once.
I want to make a squirrel there.
Mount Velas Manticore, Blacksmith Skill, Tragic Fall, which is a direct reference to Tragic Slip,
Yeah.
which has 1 and a black instant. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end turn, so it's a little bit better than Tragic Slip at base. And Hellbent, So if you've got no cards in your hand, it gets -13, -13 instead. Love that.
The art is very similar as well, isn't it?
It is.
Tragic Slip. Oh, it's him falling into a grave.
In this case,
He's
it's
falling off of a spire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a Hard Evidence. We have a Fairgrounds Patrol. We have a Thornglint Bridge. We have a Old Frame Ornithopter of Paradise.
Ornithopter of Paradise.
Ornithopter of Paradise. Which is 2 mana for an artifact creature Thopter, 0/2 with flying, and it taps down a mana of any color.
Yeah, that is an insanely awesome card. What's the
It's
mana cost on that?
2 mana.
2 mana.
It's
so it's
birds of-
one more than birds.
But it's Birds of Paradise for every color. And I'm happy swapping out a green mana pip for 2 generic.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just a thing of beauty.
It is. We have an Underworld Cookbook, a Glorious Enforcer, more memes, Fast and Furious. We have Braids, Cabal Minion, 2 black for a legendary creature human minion. I will make mention that this card is banned in Commander.
Wow.
Because at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, a creature, or a land.
Can I just ask one question?
Go for it.
When did Chandra have a love child with Weird Al Yankovic?
Oh my god, so she did. I don't know. I would say back in Chronicles, because it's the reprint from then, so around that sort of time.
Wow.
Then we have Subtlety. Subtlety is 2 blue for a 3/3 with flash and flying. When it enters the battlefield, choose up to 1 target creature spell or planeswalker spell. Its owner puts it on the top or the bottom of their library. And you can evoke it, so when you cast it this way, it gets sacrificed by exiling a blue card from your hand. And then we have an insect token, which we haven't seen him yet, but there is a card in the set that does make them. You had something you want to talk about in between these packs?
Oh, so we were going to keep... So we've got 2 packs to open. I don't know if we'll get through 2 packs in one video because we're up to nearly 2 hours already. But we are going to put some aside for a couple of reasons, aren't we?
Yes.
So we'll explain those reasons in between... One of those reasons in between the next pack opening.
Okay.
So you start opening things and,
Yeah,
and we'll
cool.
talk in between them.
Of course. Let's crack them open. And gotta love the beast.
Yeah.
He's always happy. We have a Deepwood Denizen, a Gouge Zealot, a Nested Shambler, the Jade Avenger, Arcbound Prototype, Hard Evidence, Bannerhide Cruciok, Fodder Tosser, Tanglepool Bridge, Squirrel Sovereign, who is the cutest of boys, girls, or squirrels.
Yeah. Excuses for sovereigns.
Yeah, it's 1 and a green for a 2/2 that's a Squirrel Noble, and it says other squirrels you control get +1/+1.
Yeah, you're really getting Squirrel Tribal.
It's all coming together.
It is, yeah.
We have Kaleidoscorch, which is 1 and a red for a sorcery with Converge. It deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of colors spent to cast this spell. So at base, it does 2 damage. With its flashback, which is 4 and a red, it can do 5 damage because you can cast it again from your graveyard, and it counts the number of colors spent to cast its flashback.
Yeah.
We have a Thraben Watcher, which I love the flavor on this because it is quite literally there's a card in Shadows of Innistrad called Always Watching, and Thraben Watcher is a 2 white 2/2 flying vigilance angel that says other non-token creatures you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance, which is exactly what Always Watching did.
Yeah, and then what, a 4-drop for a 2/2 with 2 abilities is
It's
enough.
also like it costs 1 more than Always Watching. You're paying quite literally 1 mana for a 2/2 flyer, which is spot on. We have another counterspell. No one's ever unhappy about. Well, actually, people are always unhappy about seeing counterspells.
It depends if you play blue or not.
This is very Then we have Magus of the Bridge. This is a very exciting card. Magus of the Bridge is 3 black for a 4/4. It says whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from the battlefield, you exile Magus of the Bridge. What makes this so exciting is the fact that it's a card called Bridge from Below, which I don't think most of the community ever expect to see a reprint of. But it's exciting stuff. And then we have a foil Grief. which is a 2 black 3/2 with menace. But when it enters the battlefield, you target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards it, and you can evoke it by exiling a black card from your hand.
Yes. That's a thing. That definitely is a thing.
It is a thing.
Okay, so you're going to open up the next one, and we will talk about one of the things that we are going to be doing. So, we are keeping 6 booster packs back specifically for the purpose of.
Yes, so we will be keeping 6 of the booster packs from the second of the 2 Modern Horizons 2 boxes for the purposes of a Winston draft. There will be a stream of a Winston draft, which is a 2-player draft game. Not quite certain who's going to be in on that at the moment, but there will be definitely a Winston draft game played. And that was going to take 6 of the packs out of the second box. But for this pack, we have an Arcbound Tracker, which I don't think we've actually seen yet, which is a 2 and a red 0/0 with menace. It's a dog. With modular 2, so it comes in with 2 +1/+1 counters. And whenever you cast a spell other than your first spell each turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I like that. We have a Giltblade Prowler. We have a Sketchframe Abundant Harvest, which I've read through the card before, but I will read the flavor text this time, which is mood. Surrounded by an abundance of nature. The abundance of nature.
No.
We have a Revolutionist. We have a Soul of Migration. A Floodhound. An Urban Daggertooth. An Arcbound Mouser. A Mere Scrapling. A Sketchframe Sudden Edict, which is 1 and a black for an instant with split second, which means while it is on the stack, the only thing your opponents are allowed, or only thing any players are allowed to do, is make mana.
Wow.
Apart from the weird situation with Morph, because you can still unmorph a creature because it's a spec. Yeah.
So does that mean when it's removed from the stack and you go on to the next card on the stack, is that then more stuff is playable?
Yeah.
Okay.
But as long as it's on the stack, as long as it's being cast, your opponents, you can't do anything. There's a few rare things you can do, but there's. And it says target player sacrifices a creature. Nice and simple.
Cool.
We have Batterbone, which is a direct reference to Batterskull from way back in the day of New Phyrexia, which is a 2-mana artifact equipment with living weapon. So when it enters the battlefield, you make a 0/0 black Phyrexian Germ, which is a new thing. I like this. I like Phyrexian Germs. Then attach this to it, and it gets +1/+1 and has Vigilance and Lifelink, and it equips for 5. We have a Sketchframe Mystic Redaction, which is 2 and a blue for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you discard a card, each opponent mills 2 cards. Very cool. Very cool, especially for that same sort of deck list that I was talking about earlier with the discarding synergies.
Yeah, I mean, I can see decks like this so easily.
Very much so. And the flavor text, again, because it's a sketch frame, I'm going to read it out. Action. Show glowing blue glyphs being torn out of a grimoire, leaving blank pages behind.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
That is very much what they're doing.
They got the instructions correct.
Yes. Then we have a Wonder. Fantastic reprint for this set, because I wonder why it was here. It's 3 and a blue for a 2/2 creature incarnation with flying, and as long as it's in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, Wonder's been around for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, since Judgment.
Yeah.
The little symbol behind is what's been reprinted from.
Oh, of course it has. Yeah.
And then we have Persist, which is a 1 and a black sorcery. Return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it. Very excited to see this, because there's another card in this set called Suspend, which are both actual mechanics, and the cards do what the actual mechanics do.
That's what it says on the tin.
Very cool.
Is that a doll?
It's a Kithkin coming out of the ground.
Oh.
In the tight-knit down of Miss Meadow, death is less important than duty. Very cool. And then we have a foil Kitchen Imp.
Oh.
So happy. Very cool. Very cool.
Okay, so the other pack that we're putting putting aside.
Yes. So the other pack that is being kept aside from the second box of Modern Horizons 2 will be going into what we are lovingly calling the Time Vault, which is a box of cards a box of packs that will sit around for about 10 years.
Hopefully 10 years.
Oh, yeah, hopefully 10 years. And once there's enough of a collection, once that 10 years comes up, we'll crack the pack open, reminisce, have a little bit of nostalgia about the cards.
Yeah. Hopefully we can retroactively fill that vault as well and get some packs in that are due to be open from 10 years ago.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm starting trying to fill up.
Very much so. So talking of the packs, let's have a look. Cabal Initiate. I've seen him before. We have an old frame Chatterstorm.
Oh, it looks so good. I love the old frames. I prefer the old frames.
We have an Arcbound Tracker, a World Weary, a Break Ties, a Mental Journey, a Guardian Kirin, captured by Lagax, Dehada's Ploy, Sojourner's Companion. I think this is one of the few artifact creatures we've not seen. He is a 7-mana 4/4 Salamander.
He is a salamander.
He is quite very much an Axolotl as well, which is even better.
Yeah.
With affinity for artifacts, so he costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. So if you can get yourself up to 7, he is a 0-mana 4/4.
I think I have someone to give that card to.
And he also has artifact land cycling for 2, so you can discard him and go and search for an artifact.
Cool. I have a player in one of my kids' D&D games that is going to receive this on Friday, I think.
Next up, we have Caprichrome, which is a 3 and a white 2/2 artifact creature goat with Flash, Vigilance, and Devour Artifact 1. So as this enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of artifacts, and it gets that many +1/+1 counters.
And of course, when you're talking about artifacts, you're talking about treasures, you're talking about
Clues and food.
And all that lovely tokens and things that you're making and generating that way around.
And if you're getting to 4 mana, all those lovely, lovely modular creatures that you've got that have been piling up and getting bigger and bigger. We have Terramorph, which is a very cool name. 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Doesn't come in tap, notably. Interesting. And it's got Rebound. So if you cast this spell from your hand, you exile it as resolves. And at the beginning of your next up, you get to cast it.
Wow.
Ghostlight Drifter. Seen him before. We've seen the Bone Shredder. We haven't seen Dermotaxi. So it's a sketch frame Dermotaxi. It's a 2-mana artifact vehicle. There's a 0/0 and a bird. Cool bird token. With Imprint. As it enters the battlefield, you exile a creature card from a graveyard. Then you can tap 2 untapped creatures you control, and until end of turn, Dermotaxi becomes a copy of the exiled card, except it's a vehicle in addition to its other types. Have you ever wanted to have 2 goblins riding around in Gristlebrand?
Always.
Have you ever wanted 2 saplings driving Emrakul?
Could a germ?
2 germs.
Two
germs could do it.
Let's get the germs on the table.
Dermotaxi is one of the few cards in this set that I definitely feel should be silver bordered, but it's fun and interesting. Let's crack out the next one.
I've hit the 2-hour mark. How's your voice doing?
Absolutely fine.
Yeah, Ron, how many cards you got left? Oh, not many to go now.
There's probably about 9 left.
Ooh.
So we have a Bone Shards, a Deepwood Denizen, a Tavern Scoundrel, a Hell Mongrel, an Unholy Heat, a Step Through, a Knighted Mere, an Aeromoeba, a Storm God's Oracle, a Wren's Run Hydra, X and a green for a 0/0 with Reach. Enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Excellent. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
And Reinforce X. You pay X and 2 green and discard this card. And when you do, you put X +1/+1 counters on target creature. Hydra decks love this card.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, like, anything green, get it out turn 2 for a 1/1 with Reach. Gives you a nice little bit of defense against
It very much does.
Flyer decks, and then later on you sack it, or you pull it late game, and you drop it in a green ramp deck.
Which,
Or 8 in a green.
yeah, for a number greater than 5.
Yeah, that is a handsome card. That is. I love that.
We have a normal Aethersworn Sphinx. We have a Combine Chrysalis. I really like this card too. The creature tokens have flying. We have a Yavimaya Elder. We have a Duathi Voidwalker. And a foil, but I'll get to that in a minute. Which is black 3/2 with Shadow. If this card would be put into an opponent's, if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with a void counter on it. Tap, sacrifice Duathi Voidwalker. Choose an exiled card an opponent owns with a void counter on it. You may play it this turn without paying its mana cost. Wow. Shadow, for those that don't quite remember, because it is an old mechanic. This creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with Shadow.
Yeah.
But cool card.
Like flanking.
It is, except weirder.
Is Shadow flanking?
Shadow. Flanking was whenever a creature blocks a creature with flanking, the blocking creature gets -1/-1 for each instance of flanking.
Is there a horseback one?
Horsemanship.
Horsemanship. That's the one I'm thinking about.
Horsemanship, which is quite literally this, but
on horses.
On horses. They can also block normally.
Yeah. Magic Custom Dark Times.
Ooh, very, very nice. That is gorgeous artwork, especially with the foiling. Angelic Curator. Back again. We've seen this guy already. Seen this angel already. And we've got a treasure token. Look at how pretty this is.
It is a gorgeous card, isn't it? Anything with an angel that's in foil, it's going to be a pretty card.
Oh, yes. So there's a couple of cards I'm kind of hoping to see.
Yeah, we've got a few more cards to go.
One of which is a Verdant Catacombs, because I'd love to see the
set.
Yeah. So we have a Vermin Gorger, a Bottle Golems, a Flourishing Strike, a Tavern Scoundrel, Lose Focus, Tragic Fall, Marble Gargoyle, Shattered Ego, Ornithopter of Paradise with its normal frame. Does still look pretty good.
Yeah.
Goblin and Narcomancer. Scour the Desert. 3 white for a sorcery. Exile target creature card from your graveyard. Create X 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying, where X is that exiled card's toughness. Very cool.
Yeah.
A Sketch Frame Road to Ruin. So Road is 2 and a green for an instant. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And Ruin is an Aftermath spell. So Aftermath is you can only cast it from your graveyard, which is 1 red. Ruin deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. It is a shame that they've taken up all the space for the flavor text, though, because I'd like to see the art brief for this.
Yeah.
Then we have a Goblin Trap Runner. 3 and a red for a 4/2 Goblin. When he attacks, flip 3 coins. My favorite phrase. For each flip you win, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. I'm assuming for each flip you don't win, the goblins get caught in the traps.
Yeah.
Then we have Patriarch's Bidding. This is a very exciting reprint. 3 black for a sorcery. Each player chooses a creature type. Each player returns all creature cards of a type chosen this way from their graveyard to the battlefield.
Can we say zombies?
You can say zombies. But the thing is, if you say zombies and I say dragons and somebody else says werewolves and the fourth player in a Commander game names elves, we now get to return all elves, dragons, zombies, and werewolves from our graveyards to the battlefield because
dragon, elves.
Because it's return all creature cards of a type chosen this way from their graveyard to the battlefield. So all of those creature types.
That would make a fun Commander game.
It would make an excellent Commander. We then have an old frame Necrogoyf, which is 3 black for a star 4 Lurgoyf. Its power is equal to the number of creature cards in all graveyards. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player discards a card. And this creepy 4-faced thing has madness for 1 black.
Wow.
And he's squirrel.
More squirrels. Can't get enough squirrels.
Very happy about the Patriarch's Bidding there. Excellent card. So then we have
another set of those draft archetypes.
We have a total of 7 packs after this one left. So we have a Crack Open, a Viashino Lash Claw, a Tyzerus Charger, a Dusk Shell Crawler, Recalibrate, Lens Flare, Tragic Fall, Storm God's Oracle, Ornithoptera Paradise, Legion's Vanguard, 1 and a black for a 2/2. 1. Sacrifice another creature. Legion's Vanguard explores. Reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and put the card in. Put the card back, or put it into your graveyard. So, decent card.
Yeah.
A Sketch Frame Prophetic Titan. 4 blue, red for a 4/4 creature giant wizard. It's a very big wizard. With Delirium. Enters the battlefield. Choose 1. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, you choose both instead. Prophetic Titan deals 4 damage to any target. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom in a random order. It's a giant. A 1 mana 4/4 that's been stapled to Prophetic Bolt. We have Rakdos Headliner. Black and a red for a 3/3 with haste. And Echo. Discard a card. Into that discard archetype very nicely. We have Squirrel Mob. 1 green for a 2/2 that gets +1/+1 for each other squirrel on the battlefield.
And then +1 because you're on that does the flooding already. And
Yep.
yeah.
Our foil is a Crack Open, which is very pretty. And another squirrel token because you can never have enough of them.
Well,
and
the squirrel deck.
Our rare is Timeless Dragon. 3 white for a 5/5 flyer with Plane Cycling 2. So you can discard this card and search for a Planes, reveal it, put it in your hand. And it has Eternalize for 2 and 2 white. Exile this card from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie dragon with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcery. And we actually got the token for it earlier in the opening.
Oh, nice.
So cool little nod there. I love the art that's almost basically the same as well. It's just flapping down.
Yeah. And it changed colours and more defined in the black.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
It's going from being a white dragon to a black dragon there. It's also a white dragon, which is weird. You don't see very many white dragons. So let's crack open a new one.
Is it a white dragon never-ending story? So that's just gone over your head. Is that you too young for that?
No, I put Falcor as a... Is it Falcor?
Oh, I have to look now.
But I'd say he's a white dragon.
Yeah, that is a white dragon. If I've ever seen one. Falcor. Yeah,
It's Falcor.
that's a white dragon.
We have a Crab.
Crab.
A Loathsome Curator. A Rift Sower. The Average Gargadon. Discerning Taste. Unholy Heat. Blacksmith's Skill. Steelfin Whale. Captured by Lagax. Chrome Courier. Silver Bluff Bridge. Ren's Run Hydra. Flay Essence, which sounds terrifying. 1 black for a sorcery. Exile target creature or planeswalker. You gain life equal to the number of counters on it.
Ooh.
Could be really good. It is only a sorcery though, so you do miss a lot of your instant speed stuff, but still powerful.
But if you're talking limited draft, if that came out and then you're playing against someone who's just gone and built themselves some kind of modular deck or something like that.
Yeah, very cool. I think even in limited, even in a draft or a sealed, I'm taking that anyway because it just exiles a creature.
Yeah.
Then we have Ravenous Squirrel. It's a hybrid green-black for a 1/1 that says, whenever you sacrifice an artifact or a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Ravenous Squirrel. 1 black-green, sacrifice an artifact or creature, you gain a life and draw a card.
Can I just request now that we get Relentless Squirrels next? And then you can build a commander deck with like 80 Relentless Squirrels, and then the rest of them are just random squirrels like this.
Sounds amazing. And then we have a Seal of Cleansing, which is a 1 and a white enchantment. Sacrifice it, destroy target artifact or enchantment.
Perfect.
And Sylvan Anthem. Green for an enchantment. Green creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever a green creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1.
Elves. Well, anything in green at all.
any
Ever.
creature-based strategy in green, which is most of them.
Yeah.
Very cool card though. Very,
Oh.
very happy to see it printed
Yeah.
because it reminds me a lot of like Glorious Anthem, but it didn't like Glorious Anthem didn't have the scry, unfortunately. So we have the token is a zombie army.
Oh, zombie army.
Yeah, very cool.
Is that when you amass?
That is when you amass.
When you amass.
We have a Bone Shards,
We do.
an average Gargadon, an Echoing Return, a Flourishing Strike, a Steelfin Whale, a Sketch Frame late to dinner, which I'll read the base thing again, which is Mood, a friendship that can outlast death.
Aww.
It's really sweet. Breathless Night, Lose Focus, Mistvault Bridge, Chrome Courier, Strike It Rich, 1 red for a sorcery, create a treasure token. Flashback for 2 and a red to make a treasure token.
Okay.
That's all it does. It seems pretty good though.
Yeah, if you need a bit of mana fixing in your red.
I've seen a lot of Spellslinger decks run this because there's a lot of stuff in Strixhaven that cares about when you cast a copy. It makes treasures, and like Prismari in Strixhaven loves treasures.
Yeah, and you can use it to boost things like when you the ability that if you what you've cast before you can.
Yeah.
Target
Storm loves
Storm.
that.
So yeah, pull that in before Storm.
Prismatic Ending, an old frame one as well. X and a white sorcery converge. Exile target non-land permanent if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. So if you cast this for 5, you get to exile a 5-drop. I can see this thing being cast pretty consistently for 2.
Yeah.
Just getting rid of something small. Vidalcan Infiltrator, who has really freaky fingers. 1 and a blue for a 1/3 Vidalcan Rogue that can't be blocked. And Metalcraft, so as long as you've got 3 or more artifacts, it gets +1/+0. Interesting. Hunting Pack. 5 green for an instant. Create a 4/4 green beast creature token, which we've seen many of these show up. With Storm. So for each spell cast before it, you just make more of them.
That's the same art.
Yes.
The
Yes, that is the
token
beasts in the background.
Yeah.
I think it's they're both.
The hyena is the same. It's just turned the other way. It's not the same, obviously, because that's done in like green energy.
If you look in the background of the artwork, there are the 2 energy hyenas.
Oh yeah.
Just there and just there. They're also both done by Lucas Graciano, which is the same artist.
Yes. Yeah.
Love that. And then we have Territorial Carvo. I love the Carvo. He's a red and a green for a star with Domain. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control.
Oh, okay.
You can cast this thing on turn 2 as a 5/5. If your opening land is, let's say you're playing 5 colors, and your opening land is a Steam Vents, and then you play the Triome that is not red or blue,
Yeah.
and have a way of untapping it somehow in some mystical way of doing things, you can play this thing on turn 2 as a 5/5. It also says when it attacks, you choose one. Discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Or exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. Seems very good.
Wow. Yeah.
And even a 2-mana 4/4 still pretty reasonable, and that's not impossible to set up. You've also got the Merfolk that turns a land into an island, so you can count that as one of your lands if you've got an extra land that you don't need.
Oh yes. Oh, was it opponent's land?
I don't know. Might find out. We have a treasure token. We have, yes, very happy, Jade Avenger.
I've got at least a playset of those now.
Yeah. Viashino Lashclaw. Nested Shambler in the old frame. Very nice, very nice. Jewel-Eyed Cobra. Arcbound Prototype. Captured by Lagax. Foul Watcher. Arcbound Mouser. Mere Scrappling. Dihada's Ploy. Feast of Sanity. A 3 and a black enchantment. Whenever you discard a card, Feast of Sanity deals 1 damage to any target and you gain a life. With that Air Amoeba, you can just ditch your hand and deal a bunch of damage. Oh, we can find out. Tide Shaper. 1 blue for a 1/1 with kicker 1. If it was kicked, target land becomes an island for as long as it remains on the battlefield. So the Carvu does work with it. Yeah.
But you would have to have an island to cast it.
True. Well, unless you use a treasure.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
Raving Visionary. 1 and a blue for a 1/1. Merfolk Wizard. Blue, tap, draw a card, and discard a card. So it's expensive Merfolk looter. Delirium. 2 and a blue. Tap, draw a card. Activate only if there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. So if you've got 4 more card types in your graveyard, which you've been discarding 4,
Yeah,
you just pay 2 and a blue and draw a card.
hard to get 4 different types.
Enchantress's Presence. 2 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. And Priest of Fell Rites. This is an exciting card because it's very cool. A white and a black for a 2/2 human warlock. Tap, pay 3 life, sacrifice Priest of Fell Rites. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Unearth. 3 white-black, so you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield with haste. You can do this effect all over again. It's a very cool Reanimator style effect.
Very cool.
Down to the last layer.
Oh, so
We've got a total of 5 packs, including this one.
One more fetch land. One more fetch land. Come on, boys.
We have a Squirrel token. We have a Revolutionist. We have the Evil Starfish. Patrick Starr's evil cousin. We have Crack Open, So Shiny. Break Ties. Steelfin Whale. Breathless Knight. Tormod's Crypt Keeper. Razortide Bridge. Healer's Flock. Sanctuary Raptor. Thraben Watcher. Mishra's Factory. An Old Frame Arid Mesa. And a Foil Lightning Spear.
These old frames just look amazing. I prefer the black ones though, with the weird edgings around the text box and stuff like that.
Oh. Our token is a Thopter. We have an Orchard Strider, an Arcbound Tracker, the sketch frame for World Weary, which intent, this is an abstract depiction of a spell that causes a person to rapidly age.
Aww.
We have Chatterstorm. We have Knighted Mere. We have Parcelmere. We have another Restless Knight, a Guardian Kirin, a Mistvault Bridge, and a Rustvale Bridge.
Hey.
Double bridges. Flame Blitz deals 5 damage to each Planeswalker. Herd Baloth, 3 green for a 4/4. Whenever 1 or more plus and counters are put on Herd Baloth, you may create a 4/4 green beast. It just exponentially makes more beasts.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
No?
Never said there was. We have another Raving Visionary. We have a Sterling Grove, which is green and a white, an enchantment. It says other enchantments you control have Shroud. And for 1, sacrifice Sterling Grove, search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. And Suspend.
Hey.
I was hoping we'd see one of these, which is a 1 blue instant, exile target creature and put 2 time counters on it. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. Oh. 3 left. Our token is a treasure.
You're a treasure.
Oh, thank you. I have a Revolutionist here. I have, here we go. The sketch frame of Kitchen Imp.
Yeah.
Who's even cuter. And the flavor text is action. Show an imp that's a kitchen helper for Asmore, the Underworld Cook. Very cool.
That's what it says on the thing.
We have Jewel-Eyed Cobra, Tavern Scoundrel, Arcbound Mauser, Terminal Agony, Burdened Aerialist, Landscaper Kolos, Silver Bluff Bridge, and Dark Moss Bridge, double bridges.
Yeah, that's strange. I think there's been double bridges more times than there has been single bridges.
I think you might be correct.
Yeah.
We have Vile Entomber, 2 black for a 2/2 zombie warlock with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle. Excellent. I love seeing Entomb on a 3-mana dude. Well, 4-mana dude in this case. Really, really good. We have Captain Ripley Vance. 2 and a red for a 3/2 legendary creature human pirate. Whenever you cast your 3rd spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Captain Ripley Vance. Then it deals damage equal to its power to any target.
when you cast your third spell each turn.
You would be
Ooh.
surprised at how easy that is. Because in the turn you play Captain Ripley, she's your first spell.
Yes. What if you played her second?
Then one more spell and you do
One
it.
more spell, yeah.
Just don't.
So that's your one. Oh, that's your one drop to make your treasures,
Yep.
which then get you a mana to help you get another one.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have a Constable of the Realm, 4 and a white for a 3/3 giant soldier with renown 2. So whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, if it isn't already renowned. And whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Constable of the Realm, exile up to one other target non-land permanent until it leaves the battlefield. I love the concept of this giant who's just like, I am better than you, you're coming with me. We have another Patriarch's Bidding, always happy to see, and another Grief.
Very nice.
Down to the last two. Let's go with Merfolk first, just to make sure.
Merfolk Tribal for the win. Oh no. Elf Tribal for the win. Elf's Rock.
Well, I mean, wouldn't they plant? Rather than
Or
rock.
Dwarves would rock, wouldn't they?
They would, yeah. We have a zombie token.
I see now. I want that as a t-shirt. Dwarves rock.
I kind of want that too.
Right, that'll be the next t-shirt run that I do then.
We have Loathsome Curator, Funnel Web Recluse, Lightning Spear, Echoing Return, Terminal Agony, Unbound Potential, Burdened Aerialist, Piercing Rays, Sojourner's Companion, the Axolotl's back.
Yep.
Thornglint Bridge.
Is an axolotl a salamander?
I don't know. Batterbone, Mystic Redaction. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. So this is the card that we saw the sketch frame of earlier. That was the man pulling the glyphs, or whatever it was, pulling the glyphs away.
From the paper,
Yeah. Prophetic Titan. We've seen a sketch frame of this too. Solitary Confinement. Another one of these. Always happy to see them.
Yeah.
Very cool. And Zabaz, the Glimmer Wasp, a 1 mana 0/0 legendary artifact creature insect.
I want this as a commander. I don't care what its box does. I want this as a commander.
With modular 1, so it's a 1/1, but wait, there's more. If a modular triggered ability will put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, that many +1 are put on instead. Who's it? 2/2. It's a 2/2. Red, destroy target artifact you control. White, Zabaz the Glimmer Wasp gains flying until end of turn.
So as a commander, you're running red-white.
You are playing red-white?
Red-white modular.
Yeah.
Token, yeah. Oh.
It's very cool. It's also been seeing a lot of play in Modern.
Yeah.
Because it's a 1 mana 2/2.
Yeah. Love it. Right, one more left to get the last fetch land.
Let's give it the luck.
Oh.
Put the luck into it. Is that where we came from? Let's actually put it back where it came from. I'm just gonna leave everyone in suspense.
Power goes out, the internet goes down. No one knows if we get it or not. Then we'll have to give them away. I really am tempted if we pull one from this.
So we have a food token.
Oh, we like food token.
Commons. I can't actually say that for sure. I'm going to cheat a little bit.
Is it commons? No, you got it wrong. Oh, you got it wrong.
There was an extra card in the pack.
Oh, well that's handy.
So we have a Silver Bluff Bridge, a Mistvault Bridge.
Double bridges. Now I'm convinced that's happened more times than single bridges.
I think it might have done. A Shattered Ego, a Soul of Migration, a Mental Journey, a Landscape of Kolos, a Sketch Frame of Faithless Salvaging, which a bit regretful, but still looking for loot. We've seen this before. A Smell Fear, a Tyzerus Charger, I think, yeah, an Arcbound Slasher, and then I believe, might have got them. A Squirrel Sovereign,
Yay!
a counterspell,
Like count as well.
a Blazing Root Waller in the old frame. Very cool. Blazing Root Waller is a 1 red 1/1 with red. Blazing Root Waller gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn, and with Madness for 0. So if you discard it, you can cast it for free. And then we have. Let me just make sure. It is another uncommon. That is a rare. We have a Young Necromancer we've seen before, and our final card from the first box of Modern Horizons 2 is Damn. Black, sorcery, destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated, and it has Overload for 2 white, so you can destroy each creature that can't be regenerated.
Wow. I mean, that is a big card.
That is a very powerful
Big
card. Very cool as well.
So, I think these are our cherry picks from so far.
Yep.
What
So-
we've got that's important.
The cards that we have opened so far that have been interesting, good enough, very cool. We've got 4 of the 5 fetch lands from Zendikar. It's a shame.
I'm tempted. There's another box here. I'm so tempted.
We opened a Sveilen. Do we ever figure out how to pronounce it?
No.
Sveilen of Sea and Sky, the Merfolk god. We opened a foil Sithis Harvest's Hand. We opened a Cursed Totem, an Ignoble Hierarch, a Mirari's Wake, Unmarked Grave, Thraster Tempest's Roar. Just want to make sure that is still in shop.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
it's in the shop.
Ragavan Nimble Pilferer, a Foil Grief, a Subtlety, a Old Frame Arid Mesa, and a non-foil Grief. All in all, that was an excellent box.
That is a big box right there.
Not to mention there's a ton of other cards that will also be interesting, and tons of other rares and things, which will all be put up onto charactercreationsrpg.com or .co.uk. Both will get rerouted to our store, where you can see the prices we have for them. They're usually very good.
We'll get them up as soon as we can. This is all kind of new and fresh for us and things, so we'll get there as we can. We have local events that we'll be at and things, so these will also be for sale at events in person, so you don't have to worry about shipping or anything like that.
Yep.
Because shipping is a pain.
It is. But if you do want anything shipped, we can also sort that out.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And if anything that's worth a lot of money or you put together a lot of money, we'll sort out the tracking as you want it and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up, I mentioned this before. Now, this is nearly, I want to say, 30 years old. This is a 30-year-old card game, still sealed, right? This has got a special smell to it.
Okay.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
So this is older than you. This is 1995. This came out. Okay. So this is the Star Trek collectible, customizable card game.
Customizable card game.
Customizable card game.
It's very...
It was all debatable
unique.
back then. It was
Okay.
all very debatable back then. And there is a smell to it. So feel free to crack that pack open. These ones come... So the fourth one down is the rare one. You don't worry about anything like that, but just have a sniff.
Well, I'll put the fourth one down from the back.
No, from the top. So they go uncommon. The first 3 are uncommons, then it's a rare, and then the rest of them are commons.
Okay, so let's crack this pack that's literally a fifth of my age older than me.
Yeah, so 95 this was made. What were we?
95? No, I was born 95.
Oh,
So it'd make it 25 years old.
Yeah, it was, okay, so it's 20,
So it was-
25, 26 years old.
The year I was born.
So this package, this has been sealed, probably sealed for longer than you've been alive. The air in there, right, give it a sniff. Go on.
Oh, wow.
That is what collectible card games or customizable card games used to smell like back in the day.
Okay. That's... Right, okay, so... So you're saying that the fourth one down... So that one?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was the rare one. I mean, you don't know anything about Star Trek. do you?
No, not particularly. I know a little bit, but...
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'll get you playing this one day.
we have Narek, who is I don't quite understand how to read these cards.
So yeah, it would be an entire video in itself, to be perfectly honest. So he is basically a creature.
Okay.
But he's yellow border, so he's a neutral creature. He can work with any of the 3 affiliations.
Okay.
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 His main skill is the box just below his picture.
So engineer.
Yep. So he has the engineering stat.
Representative of male mercenaries operating throughout the galaxy. Worked with Baron to find the Stone of Gal.
There we go. And then he has like additional skills.
Computer skill. You've got integrity, cunning, and strength. He's pretty cunning.
Yeah, he is very cunning.
Okay. Then we have. I don't even want to try and pronounce that because I will get it wrong.
Yep.
Dederidex?
Yeah, the Deredex.
Okay. Okay.
Or maybe just Deredex. I don't know. Maybe Deredex.
I would assume it's because it's got the apostrophe. There would be something in there that's.
So that's a ship.
Yeah. Cloaking device and tractor beam.
Yeah.
Excellent. Crom. I know about Crom a little bit. Another engineer. Physics. I'm assuming red affiliation is Klingon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green is Romulan, red is Klingon, blue is Federation.
Okay. We have an interrupt.
So this is an instant speed card.
Okay.
So remember, this came out at pretty much the same time. When was Magic?
93.
93. So this was the 95 set is the second reprint or first reprint,
Which would have been about the time that Magic was calling their instant interrupts.
And then there was a set of this. So this is the reprint, the white border reprint of the 94 set. So
Okay.
it first came out in 94.
Okay. Plays on any ship. If 2 navigation aboard, hide ship to prevent any battle initiated against that ship for this turn. Neat.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. I think I'm beginning to.
So your ships can fight like monsters fight,
Yeah.
but you target them instead of the person.
We have a Talus, a Romulan officer representative who is of those serving the Romulan Star Empire, former commander of private forces under Commander Sella. Okay. A dilemma. I love dilemmas.
So the idea of the game is you have planets that you go and complete. They're worth points. We haven't come across any missions yet.
Okay.
Planets or space. So you'd go and do them. You would build a deck to go against your opponent, which are made of dilemmas, and then you seed those dilemmas as you want against your opponent's missions.
Okay. Kills 1 away team member, opponent's choice, unless medical and security present. Discard dilemma. Okay. Cool. Microvirus. We've got Tomek, an astrophysicist. We have another interrupt, which is Rogue Borg Mercenaries. Plays on any unoccupied ship. Battles crew now at start of every player's turn. 2 Borg equal 2 strength each. 3 equals 3, etc.
So it would be an XX where X is equal to
The number of Borg. Okay.
At the location.
Okay. Cool. We have Thay. This is a very Romulan heavy pack.
It is.
Geology and physics. He definitely looks like a geologist.
And I think that, if you know anything about Star Trek, is that
Sub-Commander Thay.
Is that the guy who played the Cardassian for Deep Space Nine?
I have no idea.
Doesn't matter. Makes
Okay.
no difference.
We have the wormhole. Requires 2 wormholes. Play 1 on any ship just as it begins to move. Play the other where the ship immediately emerges. Discard wormholes. Cool. Getting close now. I think, yeah, 1 common and then 3 uncommons and a rare. Varel. Incoming message Klingon. Your ship must immediately return to the nearest Klingon outpost full speed. Place on 1 Klingon ship until outpost reached, then discard. Okay. Incoming message Federation. I'm assuming that's the same thing for the Federation.
Exactly. And then you can get a Romulan one as well.
Full planet scan. Glance at the dilemma and artifact cards located under 1 planet mission for 20 seconds. Is there a timer for this game?
Well, there must be. There's not in the actual game, but to play that card, yeah.
So you'd have to get like a little egg timer or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have so much. They had like digital watches. You would have been like,
Yeah,
if
okay.
someone counting, that would be really off-putting.
Yeah, it would. Brilliant, though. And then the rare is Avert Disaster. Atria? Aid project to delay solidification of the planet's core. Geology plus honor plus integrity greater than 35. And then same thing on the other side.
Your opponent can attempt your missions as well.
Interesting.
So the bar at the bottom says what race can attempt those missions. So that's only Federation can do it. But if you're playing Federation against Federation, then they can have a go at doing it as well.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. I still have no idea what I'm looking at, but
I just wanted you to smell the cards.
Yeah.
You're the one who started doing a pack opening on it, so
Well, why not?
good on you.
If I've cracked open the pack, I may as well.
Cool. Well, I think that's it then.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for watching. If you need any more information about the cards that are open, about purchasing the cards in any way, you can go to charactercreationsrpg.com or .co.uk. You can also find us on Facebook at Character Creations
Roleplaying.
On
Facebook. Yeah, Character Creation Roleplaying on Facebook. Yeah, that's us.
And we will have events local to the Plymouth area.
Yeah.
Coming up very soon. So follow the Facebook and keep an eye out.
Cool. And we'll be doing more of these.
Yes, there will definitely be more of these in the near future.
Yeah, we've got another box of this, and then we've got the D&D stuff, and the D&D stuff's going to be important.
Yes.
If you can tell, the company was set up originally for role-playing, educational therapy reasons, and so tying magic into D&D is kind of a natural thing at this point.
Yep.
Cool.
So very perfect.
Yeah. Right, we'll say bye, Liam.
Bye, Liam.
Oh no, you went for us end again!